talking of going to Shell's Go United, but you might actually be going along, Henny. You're getting a bit of League of Ireland diet in today.
Oh yeah, I was trying to take in the game when I'm over. So yeah, that's my options. Might be
Shell's your local club.
Yeah, but handier make me way back home from there to the handier rather than. The only thing about past our Richmond Road is the advantage of that is you can jump off of Christchurch and straight into where around the back there for a bag of chips.
Yeah, what's the place with the
Where do you go for a bag of chips?
Well,
Burdocks, is it?
Burdocks, world renowned.
We also have
a few little fish bites, bag of chips.
Oh, I like the Burdocks, yeah.
The donuts
That's
place.
the one draw. Richmond Park, that's the one draw.
Do they not have Burdocks up near Talca Park anywhere?
The donut place is up near in Drumcondra, isn't it? Your
Thunders.
Yeah, not at 10 o'clock at night.
You wouldn't go for Thunders after a game, Johnny.
Why not?
Bag of chips.
Where's your match night tradition sort of here? You get your bag of chips on the way home. You don't stop in.
Did you drink craft beer at games 10 years ago?
Pint in the Oak is Johnny's tradition post game.
Not anymore. No.
Called in last night. There were a few good characters around, but
Pats and Bows is a 5:30 to kick off. Pats Bows.
Yeah. Dan McDonnell is here as well.
Yeah,
we should introduce you.
Yeah, Pats Bows today is going to be. That'd be a good game, 5:30. People listening in the area, there's actually two sides that playing decent football. Bows are flying. It's going to be good.
I think it'll be a very good game.
Yeah, we mentioned last week that the first 45 minutes of that Bows Cork game was one of the most entertaining 45s for so many different reasons that I've seen in a long time.
Tragic though as well, wasn't it? Looking
for
at Cork.
Damien Delaney.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on.
Didn't play last night.
Well, he was brought on with 2 minutes to go last night as an emergency striker, which sort of told you how that game was going.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the League of Ireland at the moment, but it's all coming to an end because it looks as though Dundalk have the title pretty much wrapped up. You were down at Turner's Cross last night, Dan. Dundalk won, Cork City 0.
Yeah.
A few talking points coming out of it.
What do you know? Well, there was a scrap at half-time in the tunnel. I mean, the one thing was, there was more drama at half-time in the tunnel than there was on the pitch in the second half, which is sort of the slightly disappointing aspect that for people maybe who aren't familiar, that John Caulfield, the Cork manager, was sent off at half-time. There was an altercation, which is a sort of an in vogue word in Irish football, an altercation. But
were there harsh words exchanged?
Well, I don't know. There was words exchanged in the tunnel, and as John Cotter, the Cork assistant manager, said afterwards, there was people from the visiting Dundalk camp who weren't involved in the game, were involved in a dispute. So there was, you think he even said outside the 18, so suggesting is it suspended players or injured players or who knows. But there was a bit going on. And
was there any clarity?
Exactly. It's not the first time it's happened between those teams, and there was a bit of edge before half-time in the game. There was an incident where Patrick McElhenney received a booking, and John Caulfield was down in the Dundalk technical area. There was just a bit of a discussion ongoing. But so John Caulfield didn't come back for the second half. He was up in the PA booth near us, actually, up in near the press box, and the game itself was actually a non-contest, really.
Chris Shields' goal.
3rd minute goal for Chris Shields. Cork had a decent spell close enough to half-time, actually, ish, bit of pressure. But the second half, it was... I know that the first game this season with Dundalk beat Cork and Oriel, they beat them comfortably 1-0. But that was a sort of a high-intensity game where Cork had chances and there were still moments. Last night was flat. There was a lot of home fans didn't show up. I think they'd sort of given up in the league after last week. And Dundalk coasted through the last 25. There was no tension over the last 10 minutes of the game. I know I mentioned they throw on Damien Delaney, but they couldn't even get into positions to hoof the ball into the area. And when you consider that in June, there was the last minute own goal in Oriel Park that gave Dundalk the win to go top. And you just thought that all the matches between the sides would be closely matched, but in the space of 3 months, this gap has now just opened up, and Dundalk were miles ahead.
We'll get back to that because we've had a couple of early goals in the Premier League. First, we're going to go to the King Power Stadium. Leicester City against Huddersfield. Clive Edwards.
It's Leicester 0, Huddersfield 1. A surprise lead for the visitors. It's only their 3rd league goal of the season. This one scored by Jurgensen. It was a long throw from the left, not dealt with well by the Leicester defence. It bounced in the area to Jurgensen. His right foot shot eventually found its way into the back of the net past Schmeichel. Surprise lead, Leicester 0, Huddersfield 1.
And there's been a goal at Anfield as well. It's Liverpool against Southampton. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 1, Southampton 0. A nice little move down this left-hand side. Saw Shaqiri played in by Mane, and Shaqiri's cross shot from the left-hand side of the penalty area took a deflection off Wesley Hoyt at the back post and went over the line despite the best efforts of Alex McCarthy. It's Liverpool 1, Southampton 0.
Yeah, so an own goal has gifted Liverpool the lead after 10 minutes. It was an assist of sorts for Shane Long for that own goal. He had a half sight a couple of moments ago when there was a mistake at the back, sloppy play from Joel Matip, played the ball straight to Shane Long. He's 1-on-1 with Van Dijk, but Kenny, brilliant defending from Van Dijk.
Yeah, if you had a preference, you'd want to be facing Matip in that situation. Probably Shane would have fancied his chances, but not Van Dijk. He's very calm in those situations. He backs himself in terms of speed over the ground. His upper body strength just has to get alongside you really, and can literally just ease you off the ball. So yeah, that's the difference he's made to the team, clearly.
Should mention that we're not just live on News Talk, we are live on all our social channels as well. You can watch this on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, whatever you want, Kenny. Give them a wave. While you're thinking about that, and I know you're going to like this, Kenny. That's what I'm trying to. The point I'm trying to make to you, Kenny. It's not just radio anymore. The Ryder Cup kicks off next week, and you can stream all the. Thanks, Dan. I am.
You are there. Me.
But if you're here, you can stream all the action live on the Now TV Sky Sports Pass. With the Now TV Sky Sports Pass, you only pay for the days you want, and you can stream all 10 Sky Sports channels. We are going to be over in France next week. Myself and Joe will be at Le Golf National to celebrate. We're giving away a year-long Now TV Sky Sports Pass. To be with a chance of winning, just identify our Ryder Cup mystery voice, who brings a unique mindset into his major winning attempts.
When you try to go out and win a US Open, you will lose it quick.
Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce a winner later on in the show. Off the Ball's Ryder Cup coverage is brought to you in association with Now TV. Only pay for the days you want and stream all 10 Sky Sports channels with the Now TV Sky Sports Pass.
Are we going to win it? Are we going to win it? Anybody
Who's we? Who's the we in all this?
Believe in blue, I think is the sky.
Is that what we're going for?
Yeah. Europe.
You're not having it, Johnny? No. Not a Ryder Cup fan?
I like the Ryder Cup. Ryder Cup's very enjoyable.
Don't like golf and don't like golfers, basically. You know.
Oh
wow!
We're such a happy-go-lucky chap.
I'm a golfer. Yeah. Hang on. What's going on here?
I've never heard Johnny
express
dislike for anybody. Why do you hate golfers?
It is to be fair. But that wouldn't be.
You don't like high-quality sporting drama, Johnny?
Yeah, I don't like golf.
You get excited about the 210 at Toaster.
I do, yeah. I like gambling on horse racing. I suppose, in fairness, if you have a good tournament, it's no harm to have a little bet on something like at 50-1 and follow. But other than that, I've no real interest. I think they're very pampered and they are quite pompous as well.
The qualities you wouldn't get in other sports, to be fair.
Not in Irish racing and the League of Ireland, my two main pursuits.
The dogs.
All right, so the latest scores in the Premier League. Liverpool 1-0 up against Southampton, looking to make it 6 wins from 6. It's scoreless between Burnley and Bournemouth, and in the game between Crystal Palace and Newcastle, also between Cardiff and Manchester City. Huddersfield are 1-0 up away against Leicester City, and it's Manchester United 0, Wolves 0. Alex Ferguson, good news, back at Old Trafford
looking
today.
Quite well.
Yeah, looking great for the first time since his operation and his health scare back at the end of last season.
I'm giving a bit of a prediction the Wolves are going to potentially cause a surprise. I think they're going to give them a really good game today. Good side.
So we were.
Much of a prediction though,
it
really
actually isn't. It probably isn't anymore.
Wolves are going to give them a bit of a game. Is that it? Is
that all you've got?
Potentially.
Tune in off the ball every Saturday for
potentially they might give them a game.
Why they started the season really well? Might play against a side that's got a few issues.
I'm tipping Wolves to do well today.
Why do you think Wolves might do well?
Messi can play a bit.
I saw Wolves last season. You were there, Dan. Was that the game you went to Preston?
Give him a dig out. Give him a dig out.
Such a good side. And I still don't have much faith in Man United at the moment, especially defensively. I didn't see the young boys game, Kenny. You thought they kind of looked like he's getting his team in shape.
But you're right. Wolves have caused him a lot more problems today. They have a really talented front three. They're playing well with confidence, Wolves. So it'll be a cracking game.
Last week against Burnley was the midfield too that were incredibly impressive. The way Moutinho and Neves just controlled the game.
They battered them last week. It was as a 1-0.
It was a record amount of chances created for a newly promoted side. 30 chances in that game, and they only got the 1 goal. But the front three you talk about, actually, I wasn't quite sure about them in that game. Jota, Neves and Jimenez, and after the game, Stephen Hunt was even saying the one question mark maybe is the striker, that they're creating all these chances. Is he going to get you? Is he even going to get you 15 goals this season? Considering the amount of money they've spent elsewhere,
it depends where your ambitions. It depends what your ambitions are. I mean, 10 to 12 goals might be enough. When you look at the rest of the team in terms of how well balanced they are, you mentioned the midfield too. Just sit that area of the pitch, kind of control possession. Of football, good penetration down the sides. Matt Doherty in particular had a great start to the season. Just look very comfortable in the system. Like we said before, they've bedded in the system, not just this summer, but last summer as well. So very comfortable, very well balanced team, very comfortable in their own skin, no matter who they're playing.
The Matt Doherty situation then, where Keith Andrews said it on the Thursday about maybe it's a situation where his face doesn't fit, and then you wake up Sunday morning and it's in all the papers where he said it himself. Maybe my face doesn't fit. And we spoke to him after the game, and look, I think he was a little bit reluctant to go too much further because he suddenly realised my comments are the main news story in Ireland on the day.
Yeah, he's done a fair few interviews, Matt, and he does tend to say what he thinks, which sometimes isn't like a good quality. And I mean, it's great for media, but maybe for yourself, I think I think it was pretty well known he was frustrated in Poland, and he was put up for press later that week.
Well,
it's going to come up, so you could argue like that. It's probably not going to help the situation.
I've got to be honest with you, and it more so back down the summer when we had a double header in the summer against the USA and France. For me, that was the ideal time. Coming off the back of a really good season with Wolves. I know Seamus was available, but Seamus has got nothing to prove. I mean, Seamus plays, we know that going forward, but what we need to know is, have we got a ready-made replacement if Seamus gets injured, as he has done previously? And you have to have a look around and say, potentially Matt Doherty could be that type of player. But we needed to get him in and get minutes under his belt, make him feel comfortable in that environment. So for him not to get 1 minute of football in the summer against France and the USA, I actually couldn't believe it. And even a 20-minute cameo away to Poland when the game's really our last 20 minutes substitution, the game's become broken. I could actually understand his frustration. So it was a bit of a head scratcher for me when someone who's got some talent and you think potentially could step in. You need to throw him in. You need to get a match minutes.
Could he play in a different position? Can he? Like, if there's always going to be, I know he's played left back in his time, but Seamus Coleman's always going to be there, and Seamus Coleman is always going to play. So, is there a way that Matt Doherty can be accommodated somewhere else?
Yes, it is the interesting one for me. If you want to expand it out, at the moment we look as if potentially Martin might lean towards a 3-5-2. Formation. You might look and say,
like our last game we played a 4-4-2.
Well, exactly.
He hasn't committed to it, and he hasn't flirting with it, but never actually committed.
Yeah, but he needs to commit to one system, and we're talking about teams bedding it down and being better because of it. Wolves in particular. We spoke about Liverpool earlier, Klopp's system, but let's say, for example, we persevere with this kind of 3-5-2. Now, what's interesting for me is you'd look at it and you'd say, well, only Seamus or Matt Doherty can play as a right wing back, and there's no room for both of them. But if you look at a back three, people have an idea that you have to play with three centre halves across the back, and you don't. I mean, my argument would be in an ideal scenario you play with one traditional centre half and two fullbacks,
like Kyle Walker almost for England.
Yeah, absolutely. But they got to know how to defend. Obviously, the fullbacks, but also the benefit of having a fullback in those areas of the pitch. They can receive the ball and they can travel into forward areas very comfortable and commit players higher up the pitch. So for me, I look at that argument, the Doherty Seamus argument. I think, well, potentially Seamus getting a little bit older, maybe not losing a little bit of pace. Could he maybe Seamus play right of a three and accommodate Matt Doherty in a right wing back position, even looking a little bit further ahead beyond the next game, maybe 6 months, a year, 18 months down the road. So yeah, I know the next game is always the most important one, but there's also an obligation to look a little bit further beyond that as well. So maybe even have a look. That is something which would interest me going forward.
Hold that thought, because there's been a goal at Old Trafford, Manchester United against Wolves. It's Darren Stanich.
It's Manchester United 1, Wolves 0. First shot on target, enters the back of the net, and it's Fred with his first goal for Manchester United. Good attack down the left. Sanchez it was. Pogba laid the ball off then, and there was Fred to finish into the bottom corner. United 1, Wolves 0.
Liverpool with a huge opportunity to make it 2-0 in their game. Mo Salah 7 yards out. Cedric with a brilliant tackle, but it doesn't matter because from the resulting corner kick, Joel Matip has headed in and Liverpool lead Southampton 2-0. Johnny Ward said Salah scores that last season. Does he? Or is it just brilliant defending, Kenny?
He should score that.
Just sort his feet a little bit quicker. Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Just hesitate for a split second, allow the keeper to make the save. But this is great, actually. Nathan spoke about before the game. Why is he coming in? Gomez and Van Dijk is the preferred partnership. Well,
this has got to be zonal defending here, and look at the space he has. So, like, there must be 8 yards between him and the next man, and basically,
usually zone. You got two banks there when you zone. Usually you got a line of 4 and a line of 3. So the line of 3, that's the first point of contact for someone like Matic.
It's a free header, really.
Yeah. Well, he's travelled 2 or 3 yards, got a bit of momentum. He's 6'4". That's going to be a problem. But this is why he's in. He's a senior pro, to give him some game time so he doesn't get too cold, and even to keep him part of it, keep his head up. He scored a goal now. He'll be buzzing coming off the pitch today. He ain't going to play at the weekend. Joe Gomez will come back in, but he'd be another happy face around the camp there at the training ground.
When you were playing, did you do much difference in terms of defending corners over the course of your career? Was it a fairly straightforward mark your man kind of work?
Yeah, very rarely defended zone. He's only wide free kicks into the box. I'm kind of happy with, but corner kicks I'd probably have a preference to man mark, for one of the reasons like you saw there in terms of getting that initial contact with the play. That was always key for me. I wasn't the biggest or physically the strongest, so what was key for me marking in the box was to make early contact with the player, just kind of rock him back, disrupt his momentum going to the ball.
It's a euphemism for...
Yes, but I had to do that. That was the type of defending I needed to do. So I needed to be touched high. I prefer to be man marking for that reason.
Shane Long is down.
Yeah.
It was a diagonal ball. He went up and he just seemed to jar his leg as he landed.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, he did miss the 2 Ireland games with a foot injury, so you're sort of wondering, is it the same... the same sort of area that he looks to have damaged himself, but
it's taken quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it looked innocuous enough initially, but there's clearly something going on.
So Liverpool well on course to make it 6 wins from 6, 2-0 up. We're only at the midway point of the first half. It was an own goal from Wesley Hoot that gave Liverpool the lead, and then Joel Matip with a header from a corner kick. Shaqiri getting his first start has been really influential as well for Liverpool at the start of this game. We'll keep an eye on Shane Long over the next couple of moments. There's also been a goal though at the King Power Stadium. Leicester against Huddersfield. Last we heard, Huddersfield were 1-0 up. Clive Edwards.
It's Leicester 1, Huddersfield Town 1. Leicester's equaliser scored by Iheanacho, a quite brilliant move on the counter-attack, a perfect example of how to counter-attack at pace. Huddersfield were looking as though they were about to create a chance. They lost the ball. It went forward, and again, this time from Vardy straight to Iheanacho. He had plenty of work to do. He placed it left foot past the keeper. It's Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1.
Let's see what's going on at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Newcastle. Andrew Shield.
Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 0. One chance to each side, good chance as well. Andros Townsend for Palace, an excellent cross from the right. MacArthur far post, failed to keep his header down, should have done better. A mistake in the heart of the Palace defence allowed Jose Perez through, one-on-one with the keeper. He shot straight at the goalie. Zaha's first contribution was to dribble down the left-hand side, go down rather too easily, and was ignored by the referee, rightly so. Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
Next up, we're going to the Cardiff City Stadium. They are at home to Manchester City. Hamish Stewart.
And it's still goalless here at the Cardiff City Stadium, which will be quite a considerable bit of good news really for Cardiff City fans. Man City have had pretty much all the possession as we expected, but Cardiff City have been able to hold them out reasonably comfortably. They haven't been able to do much attacking themselves, of course, without the ball, but they're forcing the likes of Sergio Aguero to come deep to get the ball, and the threat in the box hasn't really been there. So with a quarter of an hour gone, it's Cardiff City 0, Man City 0.
And at Turf Moor, it's Burnley against Bournemouth. Adam Drury.
Burnley 0, Bournemouth 0. It's been a somewhat niggly start from both sides as they trade numerous cheap fouls as they bid to find their feet. Neither attacks really had much of a sniff in front of goal, with the Cherries frequently pegging back Burnley in their own half, but the Clarets have been successful in exerting a suffocating presence to block clear goal-scoring opportunities. It's goalless here at Turf Moor.
Shane Long is fine, but his Southampton team are not. They trail Liverpool 2-0 at Anfield with 25 minutes gone. Fredge has given Manchester United a 1-0 lead against Wolves. It's 1-1 between Leicester and Huddersfield, scoreless between Palace and Newcastle, and between Cardiff and Manchester City, and also in the game between Burnley and Bournemouth. Even it finished 1-1 between Fulham and Watford earlier. Brighton against Spurs is the late game at 5:30 at the Amex Stadium. Before we leave the Matt Doherty thing and where he may fit in tactically for Ireland, and I guess even in that 4-4-2, Cyrus Christie was playing as the right
that's
midfielder.
What I was just going to say, that and I was going to ask Kenny this, that Martin O'Neill, we get frustrated sometimes. He doesn't give reasons for his decisions sometimes. It's just, I pick the players. But the one thing about Matt Doherty is the one example where he has actually laid out his reasons for not picking him and saying very clearly that Cyrus Christie is ahead of him in his pecking order because he believes Christie is more positive, he drives on with the ball, he feels Doherty checks back inside too much. I mean, what do you make of that as an analysis of Matt Doherty? Because I think people watched him sort of thrive last week in an attacking role and were a small bit perplexed.
Well, also, when I spoke to Doherty after the match and put the quotes to him, his reaction was, well, it was the first I heard of it, that he'd been in training, that he was very surprised to hear this, that O'Neill had been questioning him about his defensive ability, but there was never a problem about what he was doing when Ireland were going forward. Yeah,
he very rarely says it publicly, O'Neill. He never goes into why he's picked player A over player B, but this is one case where he actually has.
Yeah, I haven't heard those comments. That surprises me a little bit. I suppose the only way you're going to find out is put the player in. That's kind of the couple of friendlies we had in the summer. These are opportunities to throw players in and see how they cope in that type of environment. You might have a perception of a player. I'm sure Martin's saying, obviously, has seen Matt play a number of times for Wolves, and he'll make an assessment in terms of the qualities that he has. But in terms of the step up to international football, you're never quite sure with a player until you really throw him in. Particularly the younger players, you might think he might be a little bit short hidden there, but have a gamble, throw him in, see how he fares. Now, Matt Doherty, for me, I take his in terms of checking. Well, if you check on the inside and keep the ball and make a penetrating pass on the inside, there's nothing wrong with that either. Coming on the inside and playing a little bit of combination play as well. Probably in terms of an athlete, maybe Matt isn't as athletic as far as Christie going forward, but in terms of his technical ability, his kind of ball possession, I think that side of his game
is it fair enough, actually, that Martin O'Neill, when you look at Cyrus Christie's performances over the 2 games, and actually was probably one of Ireland's better performers.
Isn't saying a great deal.
But that quite often Ireland were winning the ball back on the edge of their own area. And what he was looking for Christie to do was basically kick it 10 yards in front of him and run as fast as he could and just relieve the danger, even for 30 seconds a minute. And maybe that's not Matt Doherty's game.
Well, that's pretty bleak, though.
It might be bleak, but it might also be the reality.
I can understand that to a point, the Wales game, because like you say, he flipped back to it. It looked as if he was going to commit maybe to that 3-5-2 as he had in the summer, but he flipped back against Wales and went to the 4-4-2. So if you're going to play an orthodox right side midfielder, you look at Matt, and predominantly he's a full-back stroke wing back, and there is a tangible difference between as a wing back and a right side of midfield. You play a little bit 10-15 yards higher up the pitch on the half turn a little bit more, so there are kind of subtle differences between the
probably have
positions.
to look you have to look at the left back situation as well. So like, what's Ward's situation going forward, and if
Robbie Brady's coming back, it's possible.
And Robbie Brady would be a good wing back as well, we'll say. So if you want to go, that's
if you had say management team, or you have Declan Rice and you have Harry Arter back available again, and suddenly you have a back three of, well, you could have a back three if you wanted of, I guess, Shane Duffy, Declan Rice and Kieran Clark, or
I think you nearly
Seamus Coleman, Shane Duffy and Kieran Clark,
Kevin Long as
you got to play Rice
Doherty and Brady as your wing backs. You've got Rice, McCarthy in the middle of midfield. It's a very different team.
I think there's a little bit of value. Like, we've flipped and flopped an awful lot under Martin. Predominantly we've played with a back four, but in front of that it's constantly chopped and changed, like, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 2 banks of 4. We've played the diamond in there, which I think we struggled with at times, to be honest with you. But the 3-5-2, you can see the bones of a team there. We've got a number of options to play across the defensive line. The wing back positions, I think we've got some good options now. You've mentioned a few, and Greg Cunningham didn't even get a mention.
Stevens as well
on the left hand side.
Jeff Hendrick.
And if you can get that holding midfielder in there, you look at kind of James McCarthy, Declan Rice is the obvious example.
The problem with the 3-5-2 though, Kenny, is what 2 strikers do we have? So
well, I think we do. I don't quite buy into this. We haven't got any strikers. I think if you're struggling but if the argument is, we're struggling in terms of quality or even numbers, for me it's more of an argument for playing 2 up there who can actually work as a partnership and help each other out. And I look at the likes of Shane Long or Jonathan Walters in particular, who's been a fantastic player, and I think still has a part to play, John, but only as a centre forward. We can't be asking him to do a shift on the right hand side up and down the pitch as we have done for some years. Now, someone like Jonathan Walters up front with the likes of kind of Sean McGuire, Graham Burke playing off him, for me there's a bit of value there, like in a kind of partnership high up the pitch in that system with a 3 behind the likes of Jeff Hendrick, Robbie Brady breaking from those number 8 positions, as we saw a couple of years ago. We spoke about before the show against France, the way Robbie and Jeff played in that game with James McCarthy behind. You look at that from us, you think, that couldn't work, because Robbie can get forward, Jeff, they can impact the game in the last third of the pitch. And you looked at that game and thought, you got a little bit excited, although we got beat to France, thinking, there's a bit of a new dawn here. It's
never happened.
And it hasn't. We've kind of stalled a little bit, almost gone backwards. But again, the players that I've mentioned, referenced, and the kind of the shape of the team that we're talking about, I think there's a bit of value in there. There's a little bit of potential in that. Whether we stick with it,
but you even say like Burke and Maguire, like totally unproven at international level, and that's where we're at.
So far, but you get a throw in.
You liked Robinson, did you? You thought Robinson showed a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult game for him, but I thought he moved well over the ground. He looked pacey, good athlete, and very competent technically. He looked very comfortable the times that he got on the ball, so I wouldn't dismiss him either. So I'm not as downhearted as people. We haven't got a centre forward, and I think, I could probably name 4 or 5 6 there. They're unproven. Well, of course they are, because number of them just walked into the squad.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at them, show a bit of faith and a bit of trust, and get them on the pitch, get them a bit of game time, and see how they show
Well,
up.
I think that's where McLean though might play as one of the two though, because I don't think the wing back role that he's played there just hasn't suited McLean for whatever reason. There's an argument, is he disciplined enough to play that role? And the couple of times he's played wing back, he's struggled, but I think McLean will always play. So he has sometimes used them centrally, and that may be where he sort of sees him. I don't know where you see McLean fitting in. Do you think he could still learn to play that wing back position role a bit better? But I think McLean will always play.
He's not good enough centrally though.
I'm not sure centrally, to be honest. I think he's a willing runner, James, in terms of running the channels and offering himself up and closing people down. But in terms of forming a real kind of partnership, in terms of really playing in congested areas and little combinations.
Is he a victim of that system then, potentially? You know, James, in terms of where he actually fits in?
Well, like I said, I think with the play, if you look at the wing backs potential which we have now on the left hand side, Enda Stevens, Greg Cunningham in particular, Matt Doherty, you could make an argument for operating down the left hand side, Robbie Brady as well. You know, we've got some really good options there. So I don't think, we're all a big admirer of James McLean and what he's done in early days, and he will play a part going forward. But I don't think, if you're going to commit to like 3-5-2, I don't think it's a cast iron certainty.
You could play
it starts in that formation.
You could play basically a 4-5-1 and potentially play Coleman left back and then Doherty right back, because Coleman would be he probably wouldn't be a left.
You're not
back.
playing Coleman at left back.
You possibly could.
Heard that point raised. Someone had that point recently as well.
Actually, it was a guy said to us during the week, but why not? Dennis Irvin was right-footed. Coleman's also slowing down a bit.
You probably argue the opposite.
Well, Doherty's proven himself at left back.
Games at left back for Wolves in the Champions League. So
you put your strongest suit in the strongest position, I would have thought.
But then you're going back. You're going back to a 4-5-1. Then you're changing the dynamic a little bit. You know, so.
53106 is the text number. @Off the Ball on Twitter. You can leave a comment on our Facebook page as well. The latest scores in the Premier League: Liverpool still leading Southampton 2-0. Manchester United 1-0 up against Wolves. Scoreless between Cardiff and Manchester City. It's scoreless as well between Burnley and Bournemouth, and between Palace and Newcastle. It's 1-1 between Leicester and Huddersfield. To wrap this up then on the Ireland conversation and Matt Doherty, what does he do next? Have you ever found yourself in this position for club or country where manager has changed and your face didn't fit, where you just felt it's not happening for me? You can get a bit down on it.
He shouldn't be too downhearted, mate. He's just got to keep concentrating his club football, keeping his level of performance up. There's nothing he can do about it.
But if the manager said he needs to do something different for me to pick him, and his Wolves manager, Nuno, came out and was very strong and said, well, I can't understand where he's coming from. He does exactly what I ask him to do on the pitch, which is why he plays every game. Like, what does he do the next time he comes into camp? Do you demand a meeting with Martin O'Neill and try and suss it out?
Possibly so. He may knock on the manager's door and say, I would have thought, I'm surprised he hasn't had that type of conversation with the manager, hasn't had that conversation with him if he's gone publicly and made those points about the player. I think if I was a player, maybe a little bit disappointed, I go as far as to say, to be hearing those comments. I'd like to hear him first and foremost in confidence, face to face. And to be honest with you, I'd be disappointed to hear them at any particular time, to be honest with you. I don't like to hear their players being talked down. I've heard too much for over the past. I got back 6 years in terms of limitations of our players, in terms of the standard that they're playing now. We haven't got enough players playing at a certain level of football. Too much negativity for me. Too much downplay in terms of the qualities of the players. You know, we should be doing the opposite. In fact, you know what I mean. We should be talking about the qualities that we have, the potential that we have, particularly in some of the younger players coming through, and just doing the best that we can with what we've got. That's all we can do. Just tap into the potential of the squad as it is and get the very best out of what we've got. Now, if you're telling me we're getting the very best out of the players that we have, regardless of the level that they're playing at the moment, that's fair enough. But I don't think that's the case. In terms of the performances, certainly over the last year, I don't think you could say hand on heart, regardless who's out on the pitch, that's the bet. We're getting the very best out of the players we have available to us.
Well, we're going to get into maybe that part of the conversation now about the level that our players are playing at on a week where not one single Republic of Ireland player played any part in the Champions League or the Europa League. But first, there's a huge day coming up on Tuesday at Páirc Uí Chaoimh, the Liam Miller testimonial. It's going to be a wonderful occasion. It's a complete sellout, but we do have 2 tickets to give away this afternoon to be given a chance of winning. Very simple. Just text the word Miller and your name to 53106. And if you want to support it, there are still other ways you can support the Liam Miller Foundation and support the family and the various charities that are being supported on the afternoon. There is a silent auction currently taking place. There's signed jerseys from Bobby Charlton, Ronaldo, John Giles. There's also concert tickets, loads more as well. You can get your bids in now at galabid.com/Liam. That's galabid.com/Liam. And as well as that, it is a sellout, so there's no more tickets available, but they have actually created non-attendance tickets for people who can't make it to the match but would still like to show their support. For €5 and €2 postage and packaging, donors will receive a commemorative e-ticket, an official matchday programme, and a chance to win a jersey signed by both teams on the day. The tickets, these are available at www.supportliammiller.com, or check out the hashtag Liam Miller Tribute. So plenty of other ways that you can support on the day as well. We're going to take a very quick break and we'll run you down through all the scores once again.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
Tech Talk. With Jess Kelly.
Coming up this week, we meet the Irish innovators changing the face of agriculture. From motion sensors for farm machinery to drones that can help herd cows, we'll hear how tech is changing the game. We'll also hear from those living in rural Ireland about the continued wait for the National Broadband Plan and, of course, answer your tech questions.
Tech Talk. With Jess Kelly.
Thanks to Harvey Norman.
Download the podcast now or tune in Sunday at 6.
On News Talk.
Want to feel alive? Well, here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to watch the game through someone else's feed. You're not going to like that video of the most awesome pass ever. And you're not going to post a selfie from your sofa pretending to have the best time ever. No, you're going to join the roar. Leinster versus Munster, Aviva Stadium, October 6th, 6 p.m. Tickets available at leinsterrugby.ie. Subject to availability, terms and conditions apply.
Bruce Betting, Sportsbook, Casino, and now Live Casino. Download the Bruce Betting app to see why for the Premier League, Bruce Betting are giving you more. With price boosts, live in-play betting, cash out and ACCA insurance. Make Bruce Betting your Premier League bookmaker. Bruce Betting, in-store, online, and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
News Talk's Happily Hired. Brought to you by Jobio.
Jobio is the place where millions of talented people find their dream job. Here are some of the thousands of companies hiring this week. GBE Technologies are looking for a senior data feed QA engineer. Sedgwick OSG need a PPI complaints adjudicator. And finally, Retail in Motion are hiring a head of customer success. To find a job you love or make your next dream hire, visit newstalk.com/jobs.
Careful.
Stop that now.
Big step.
You do a lot to protect your family, so now you can protect their future too. Life assurance from Post Insurance can provide a secure future for your family. Call us on 1890 222222 and see how we can help protect your family's future today.
What are you doing?
Life assurance from Post Insurance. Life looked after. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Wonderite Ireland Limited, trading as Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Wonderite Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business. Life assurance policies are underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc.
There she is. 100-litre still, locally sourced juniper berries, our very own small batch distillery. And it all fits in the garage.
I said I wanted some home gym equipment, Craig.
Oh.
Trouble hearing? Save up to €500 on selected hearing aids at Specsavers Audiologists. Offer ends September 30th, 2018. Book a free hearing check today.
Well, are you sure you can't be tempted to keep it? I've got 100 bottles of tonic water on the way.
When your children are happy, you're happy. Looking at their little faces as they run carefree around the playground. Isn't it time to bring some of that playground home? NI Climbing Frames offer a huge range of climbing frames, playhouses, swings, rock walls and more at affordable prices. Check out our Stax Mountain Climbing Frame, only €759 including delivery. Complete with 10-foot wave slide, 3 swings of your choice, set of steps and an 8-foot rock wall with 10-year anti-rot guarantee and 2-year manufacturing warranty. Visit niclimbingframes.com.
Beacon South Quarter, Ireland's premier interiors destination, is home to French Roche-Beaubois, Soul, the spirit of ultimate lifestyle, Cube Kitchens and Caligaris, Danish designs by Beau Concept and Red Earth and Mindy Browns. We have an extensive range of furnishings and accessories, and all our stores have qualified interior designers too. Visit beaconsouthquarter.ie and follow us on Facebook for offers. We're located beside exit 13 off the M50 with 2 hours free parking.
This is Bobby Kerr.
It's that time of year again, and Focus Ireland is calling on the business community to sleep out and shine a light on homelessness. Business leaders, we need you to make a difference and help Focus Ireland raise more than 1 million to reach more families who need your help more than ever before. Will you sleep out for one night on the 12th of October? Register today at focusireland.ie, proudly supported by News Talk.
The HPV vaccine protects girls from getting cervical cancer when they grow up. More than 200,000 girls in Ireland have safely received the HPV vaccine. The vaccine will be offered free to all girls in their first year of secondary school.
I got the HPV vaccine.
I got the HPV vaccine.
I got the HPV vaccine.
Find out how safe and effective the HPV vaccine is at hpv.ie.
Get the vaccine, protect our future.
From the HSE.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
You're welcome back. Dan McDonnell, Johnny Ward and Kenny Cunningham are all in studio this afternoon. We're keeping an eye on all the afternoon kickoffs in the Premier League. 53106 is the text number. We're live on all our social channels as well if you have any comments or questions for the lads. There have been goals at the Cardiff City Stadium. Cardiff against Manchester City. Hamish Stewart.
And you wait half an hour for a Man City goal and then two come at once. It's Man City 2, Cardiff City 0 here. First of all, Sergio Aguero with a pass from Bernardo Silva managed to slot it in from the penalty spot, and then Silva himself from a pass by Leroy Sané. It was a header fairly speculatively towards the box, but actually ended up in the top left-hand corner. Neil Etheridge in the Cardiff City goal had no chance. Cardiff City 0, Manchester City 2.
Audacious.
What was audacious, Johnny?
Salah. Look at it, nearly came off. Yeah, Salah just Salah gets a great chance here on the break. Southampton had a really, really good chance. I don't know who it was, completely fluffed it.
Completely missed the ball.
So the ball is played down. Salah shows his pace. He gets in behind, but you're thinking he's not going to score here. It's just the way things are going. He's not going to score. He eventually ends up with his back to goal, tries his audacious flick. And that, again, that probably goes in last season. It just doesn't at the moment. I wouldn't blame him too much today.
Yeah, I don't think he is back to goal.
Again, at his best last season, though, he's scoring them goals. I just think at the moment, it's just not, confidence-wise, he's just not quite there.
So still Liverpool leading Southampton by 2-0. There's been a goal in the game between Burnley and Bournemouth. Adam Drury.
Burnley 2, Bournemouth 0. Aaron Lennon has given the Clarets a 2-goal lead. It all came about from the swinging ball in from Johan Berg Gudmundsson. He picked out Aaron Lennon at the left-hand side of the 6-yard box, and he slotted it low past Begovic to give the Clarets a 2-goal lead. It's Burnley 2, Bournemouth 0.
Matavidra opened the scoring for Burnley on his first start for the club. No Irish players playing for Burnley today.
No, well, what's happened to our Irish Legion clubs? I was just looking at like Burnley, no Irish players playing, and Preston, Callum Robinson is playing, but they're now bottom of the championship as it stands, 1-0 down. So
who do we follow now?
Well, actually,
where does Johnny go for his weekend break?
Sheffield United actually are who are 1-0 up against Preston. Have Enda Stevens now, John Egan, and also David McGoldrick, who's actually very much out of favour with Ireland as well. I think they are probably a contender. Who did you mention there? Rotherham. Yeah, Ryan Manning and Richie Towell. Yeah, and Anthony Ford is there as well. So there's a few Irish lads.
Where is Rotherham?
Where it's close to Sheffield, isn't it? It's very close to Sheffield.
Yeah. It doesn't sound particularly.
Players live in Sheffield. I think a lot of the, I think Richie Towell was living in Sheffield.
Your kind of place, Johnny.
Rotherham races.
Friends with the locals.
Rotherham races.
Nah, there's no race course.
Probably Speedway or something like. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Where the local
just rolled off the tongue. I thought I might get lucky with that one.
Let's see what's going on at Old Trafford. Manchester United against Wolves. Darren Stanich.
Manchester United 1, Wolves 0. The goal being scored on 17 minutes. First goal for Manchester United from Fred, who arrived from Shakhtar in the summer. Good work from Sanchez and Pogba, who laid the ball to him, and a neat finish. Before that, Wolves, though, had threatened. David De Gea had to make 3 really good saves. United, though, going close from a corner. Just no one there to finish it off. But Wolves will be happy with how they're playing. It's quite an even game here. It's United 1, Wolves 0.
So Liverpool, City and United all leading at the moment. Goals at the King Power Stadium, as we've been hearing, between Leicester and Huddersfield. What's the latest, Clive Edwards?
Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1. Jurgensen opened the scoring for the visitors on 5 minutes. The equaliser came after 18. That was from Iheanacho. Jamie Vardy had a great chance for the home side to enable them to take the lead. A cleverly taken free kick from 30 yards out by Maddison. Chipped the ball over the wall. Vardy first onto it, but a difficult shot on the turn, on the volley, and he hooked his shot just a yard wide of the post. It remains Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1.
could have given a ticket to Kenny Cunningham to any Premier League game today. He would have gone to Selhurst Park to watch Palace against Newcastle. Let's see what's happening. Andrew Cheel.
3-0.
Palace 0, Newcastle 0. Lascelles, the Newcastle defender, has just been booked for a foul on guess who? Wilfried Zaha. No question it was a foul, and it was late. Zaha, other than that, is having a quiet game, seeing very little of the ball. Palace have made 4 or 5 chances, worked the keeper a couple of times, just not worked in very hard. Newcastle seem to content to defend in depth and in numbers, and they're doing so pretty efficiently so far. Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
Right, so that's you up to date with all the latest scores in the Premier League. It's about a couple of minutes to half time in all these games. Liverpool totally dominant in the match. We're watching 2-0 up, and it could be much more at this stage. Last week on the show, we were chatting about Ireland's over-reliance on the Premier League and how much more difficult it is, based on basically watching games in the Nations League, where pretty much every country had players playing in 7 or 8 different leagues, playing for okay clubs, but teams that had qualified for the Europa League or would be involved at some level of the Champions League, which meant they were getting a flavour and a taste of real high quality football, and how Irish football right now was lacking that. And as luck would have it, Simon Cleave, who's head of analysis at Great Note Sport, did some proper actual research on this. European countries, Kenny, without a single starter in this week's European matches, and which Nations League the national team plays in. So every single country in League A of the Nations League have a player playing either Champions League or Europa League football. Republic of Ireland, the only team in League B that don't have a single player. Lithuania are the only team in League C, and then in League D you've Andorra, Faroes, Gibraltar, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Moldova and San Marino. So they are the minnows of European football.
Yeah,
we are amongst them.
I don't get caught up with any of that. I think it's rubbish. I've got to be honest with you. I just think Seamus Coleman's not playing Champions League football. Has that hindered his development as a player, would you say?
Possibly. Has it not? Why isn't he playing Champions League football?
Or Europa League in this case as well, is it? That's part of
the Europa League.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, when I look at the qualities of Seamus Coleman as a defender, for me, Seamus has been one of the best right backs in world football. We've one of the best right backs in world football.
If he's one of the best right backs in world football, why is he still playing for Everton?
My point is he hasn't been playing Champions League football. There's a lot of reasons for that in terms of the contracts that he signed, the winners to the club to let him go. Maybe he has a connection with the football club, which has flourished over a period. There's going to be a number of reasons why he's still there, but it's not because he's lacking the football and qualities to play one of the top 4. He could walk into any team in the world. He could walk into Barcelona, Real Madrid, easy, and look at these. Seamus is amongst the best and has been for the last couple of years right backs.
Seamus Coleman is not getting into the Real Madrid team ahead of Danny Carvajal.
I would take him ahead of Carvajal. I would take him ahead of Sergio Roberto, who was playing in the Barcelona team all day of the week. Liechtenstein was playing the Juventus team last year. Seamus Coleman is one of the best players in the world. My point being, don't get too caught up about we haven't got so many players playing in Champions League football. Just assess the qualities of the players as they are. Forget about Champions League, forget about Premier League, where they're playing
the point is, I get, like, Seamus Coleman is, say, and he's comfortably Ireland's best player. The problem is that it's not just one player. So I was making the point that the likes of Bosnia, Denmark, Slovakia all had at least 6 players playing, and then Simon Cleave actually came back again and said Denmark had 17 players starting in the Europa League. Slovakia had 13. They both had 3 players starting in the Champions League. That the vast majority of their squad. Now, there's probably an historical anomaly in that we are an island on the edge of Europe, whereas all these countries' players are far more comfortable travelling to Germany or the Netherlands or even playing for teams in and around Slovakia there. And we don't have that.
Yeah, I think the point is more so. I agree with Kenny in a sense that any of our Premier League players, they're playing in the Premier League. It's maybe further down the ladder is more the debate that do we have certain players, who just naturally gravitate towards the English football ladder. Guys, it's maybe someone like Sean Williams, who's technically very good. Is actually can also look after himself. He's not just a technical player, Sean Williams too. He's playing for Millwall, but could some of those lads further down maybe travel a bit more? And and you hear players talking about it, and you've had like Jack Byrne and people try it out, and there have been players who've shown a bit more sort of wanderlust, and that is the thing. When we've got Killian Sheridan has obviously done it. I mean, Aidan McGeady has done it, and maybe players who are a bit down, who may not be suited necessarily to English football to some degree, would those players not travel a bit more and maybe see a bit of the football world, and would that help them in some ways internationally? I think that's the talking point. But you're
taking it off in a slightly different tangent there, Dan. Don't talk down the players who aren't travelling abroad, who are playing regular football in the Championship at a good level and playing well, and downplay them while they're only playing Championship.
No, but does it hold them back in a sense? Like, does the Championship and say League One necessarily suit an Irish player, or would that player be better off playing, we'll say, in Holland or somewhere like that, if he were of a...
If you walk a lot of the Championship football, we're not talking like 20-25 years ago when Division 1 football was like crash bang wallop stuff, you know what I mean? Hit the channels, squeeze up second balls and off you go. If you watch, football has changed, not just in the Premiership, but even further down the leagues, the couple of leagues below that. There's a lot of managers now playing wherever you want to call it, possession-based football, plenty of touches on the ball, playing through the thirds, all that. That's very prevalent in the Championship now.
League One, though, we'll say. So if you look at Patrick McElhenney left Dundalk, so Patrick McElhenney is playing against like Rosenborg 2 years ago, and he's probably the best player on the pitch against Rosenborg. Nicholas Bentner is playing, and he goes to Oldham, and because of the system they're playing on,
they were in a relegation battle on a bad pitch on the right of a 4-4-2.
By all accounts, he was the best player in training.
That wasn't the move for him. I think he went to England because you go to England. That's what you do, sort of
as an Irish person
here. And also as well, Johnny. I mean, it's also because, and I've spoken to players about this.
Money.
It's because there's better money in League One than it would be in the top division. And we can take a philosophical approach and say this, but like if you're a player with a short career and a short lifespan, you're going to take, you take the better offer at a certain stage.
It encouraged me this year to hear like Owen Stokes, who admittedly is kind of half struggling to get in the Bows team, but Owen Stokes and Dylan Watts was a very good player. Dylan Watts said, I'd like to play in somewhere like Spain, and I don't think I'd ever heard an Irish player actually say that before, and I was like, I just wish more people were like that, because Dylan Watts is a really good technical footballer, and if Dylan Watts went into say Preston now or someone like that, he'd probably struggle, because it's just...
Well, Graham Burke's gone to Preston, who don't play a style that probably suits him.
At all, and you called this all along, you said Preston are not going to suit Burke, and now it's a situation where like he's not going to fit into that team at all the way they're playing.
Already you're looking, is he going to go out on loan in January?
Yeah, and where will he end up?
He's knocking around. He's knocking around the team.
Knocking around,
I'm not sure. But they don't seem to trust him to play away from home and stuff like that. So maybe it wasn't a great fit for him. It's easy to be wise now, but there are certain times where players have gone to clubs just because that's where you go. You go to England rather than maybe going where the best fit for them. And McElhenney, I mean,
but I think we should
it's really sad what happened with McElhenney. Really, that he hasn't really had the chance to play in a team that that plays to his strengths.
I've no doubt McElhenney, if McElhenney were in the Ireland team, he'd be every bit as good as most of the players there. He's technically absolutely superb, but that never seems to be entertained. But
there's clearly a school of thought amongst the players with Phil that they have to make that jump across, whether it's England or somewhere else, to be taken seriously in terms of international recognition. I don't generally buy it. I think there's an argument for saying you put yourself into a better football environment at a specific English club, and you will kind of better yourself. You could argue about better coaches, better environment, the whole sports science that can improve as a player, confidence, the whole thing. But we've seen players from League of Ireland football cross to England and very quickly, within months, make that jump back into the international team. So what are we saying? These players have suddenly grown over the course of 6 months and become spectacular players?
No.
Well, they haven't. So for me, I hope going forward that some players, rather than making the jump that you've spoken about, I know there's a financial element to it that Dan has mentioned there, I hope players feel as if there's an avenue for them from League of Ireland football into the international scene. Because I agree with John, I see some players in League of Ireland of a technical level where I think that they could cope. Graham Burke did it in a Shamrock Rovers jersey. Patrick McElhenney is another one. And another example is Daryl Horgan making the jump to Preston, and Ronan Curtis at the moment, who's gone over to Portsmouth. I saw him play at Dalymount Park a few months ago for Derry. Had a look at him playing left of a three and thought, this lad can play. You were looking at him thinking, this lad can play. He's strong, he's going past people technically, he's seeing pictures ahead of him. And within how long has he been there? 6 weeks, 2 months at Portsmouth? He's got pulled in the international team. So what's happened? What's happened in the space of 2 months where suddenly we're looking at him in a Derry City jersey thinking, nah. And now 2 months later...
Yeah, but
in fairness to Martin, he's made a lot of noises to the effect that Duffy is going to get into the squad.
I think Duffy would have been in the squad if his clearance had come through 2 weeks ago. Ironically enough, in the longer term, it could suit the dog that it wasn't, in the sense that there could be a sort of...
I thought you were going to make a romantic point there with musical accompaniment. Well, it was a nice moment.
Yeah, it was actually a nice moment. Would there be more interest in him if he'd been in the squad this time round? But I think Duffy will come into it. I think O'Neill has been more open to it than previous managers, to be fair. But
there's no choice.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, he's picking the best players available, and I don't. The one thing about Ireland at the moment is that when the squads are named, we don't necessarily have those 2 or 3 names outside the squad that people are shouting about, unlike in previous times.
So I suppose the argument then moves on. Are we picking our best players? You could argue one or two ways. Yes, we are. But then, are we tapping into the potential of the players that we have available to us? I suppose that's where the conversation goes on from. And then you start talking about players' individual qualities, system, style of play, which best suits the players. That's a challenge facing every manager at club and international football. That's the challenge for the manager, coach, and the whole management team to tap into that and get the very best out of what you've got. That's where the argument leads on after that.
And once you get away from conversation, Kenny.
Yeah, it is.
Let's get the half times first from around the grounds. We'll start at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace against Newcastle. Andrew Cheal.
Palace 0, Newcastle 0. Palace have dominated and come close. Ayu's glancing header hitting the post. Milivojevic twice and Kouyaté once have worked the keeper, just not worked in very hard. Decent shots though. MacArthur put an early header, a free header, wastefully over the bar. Newcastle's only chance saw Lascelles head way wide from Shelby's corner. Lascelles has also been booked for a foul on Zaha. It's Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
Turf Moor, where Burnley started the day bottom of the Premier League table. They're probably not going to end at bottom of the Premier League table. Watching their game against Bournemouth, Adam Drury.
Burnley go into half-time with a 2-0 lead, but the Cherries will regret not taking advantage of their dominance. Mate Vidra smashed the ball home from close range in the 39th minute to put Burnley a goal up, and 2 minutes later the lead was double. Aaron Lennon meeting Goodmanson's swinging cross and slotting the ball into the right corner of the net. Both goals were against the run of play, and the Cherries, who were threatening in attack, now have left themselves with a mountain to climb. Half-time at Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2, Bournemouth 0.
Alex Ferguson back at Old Trafford today, watching Manchester United against Wolves. Is Darren Stanich.
Manchester United 1, Wolves 0. United scoring with their only shot on target from open play in the first half. In what's been a competitive game, the visitors a little unfortunate to be behind. Wolves started much the brighter. De Gea made 3 good saves, 1 from Jimenez and 2 from Wolves corners. Bowley's free header really should have found the net. The goal though from United came on 17 for the hosts. Nice work from Sanchez and Pogba, who teed up Fred to fire home his first for the club. He nearly made it 2 in stoppage time. Good save from a free kick. United 1, Wolves 0.
Liverpool are about to win their first 7 games of the season for the first time in their history. They're cruising against Southampton at Anfield. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 3, Southampton 0, and Jurgen Klopp's side well on their way to a 7th consecutive victory. They went ahead after 10 minutes when Mane found Shaqiri on the right-hand side of the penalty area, and his cross shot was deflected into his own net by Wesley Hoyt. And then on 21 minutes it was 2-0. Alexander-Arnold with a corner from the right, headed in by Joel Matip. And Liverpool made it 3 right on half-time, in injury time in fact, when Shaqiri's free kick hit the bar, bounced down on the line, and there was Mo Salah with the simplest of goals he scored here for Liverpool. It's Liverpool 3, Southampton 0.
At the King Power Stadium, it's Leicester against Huddersfield. Clive Edwards.
Half-time, it's Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1. Huddersfield took a surprise lead in the 5th minute. Shot from Jorgensen found its way into the back of the net following a long throw. Then in the 18th minute, Iheanacho got the equaliser for Leicester. A brilliant counter-attack set up by Jamie Vardy for them. Vardy himself, 6 minutes later, perhaps should have enabled his side to take the lead. A cleverly taken free kick. His shot on the turn, a difficult one, it has to be said, but he hooked it just wide. It's been a bit of a scrappy first half with some flashes of good play. It's Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1.
And at the Cardiff City Stadium, well, the home side are taking a bit of a beating against Manchester City. It's Hamish Stewart.
And with half an hour of the first half gone, Cardiff City would have been happy at 0-0, but since then Manchester City have taken a deserved complete control of this game. Firstly, Sergio Aguero in his 300th game, he slotted in from the penalty spot for a pass for Bernardo Silva. He went from provider to goal scorer, speculative header, but it ended up in the top left-hand corner. And then Ilkay Gundogan with a clinical shot from the edge of the box into the top right-hand corner. Man City leading at half-time, 3-0.
All right, so that is all the half-time scores.
We were discussing
Pat's
playing 3-5-2 here.
Oh, way forward.
Yeah.
Right setup, Johnny. Don't go too in depth.
No.
Time is tight, John.
Have a think about it while we go to ads and the news, Johnny, and we'll come back to you in a moment.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster-than-ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. time to play.
Join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter.
€2,000 cashback if you switch your mortgage.
I'll think about it.
Legal fees covered.
Just let me compare that.
2% cashback.
But will I be better off in the long run?
At CCPC, we provide impartial and accurate information so you can make better choices about products and services. Thinking of switching your mortgage? We've done some of the hard work for you. Use our comparison tool to see if you could save on your mortgage. ccpc.ie, independent information for consumers. From the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission.
€4,000 cashback?
Are you looking to advance your career options with a recognised project management qualification? The Institute of Project Management has set the standard in project management education and certification for over 25 years. Our certified diploma programs provide access to level 8 and 9 qualifications and globally recognised IPMA certification. Enhance your project management skills, acquire recognised qualifications and move your career forward with the Institute's guidance and expertise. Contact the Institute at projectmanagement.ie.
Woodies are celebrating 30 years of homemaking. Give your place a makeover this autumn with a splash of colour. All Dulux interior paint 3 for 2. Treat yourself with 30% off all kitchens. Save €100 on the DeWalt 18-volt brushless combi drill kit. Now just €149. And all flat pack furniture, bar stools and Pyrex cookware. Half price. Woodies. We're all homemakers. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Hey, I'm Roz Purcell and I'm on Repak's Team Green. We want people in Ireland recycling more plastic because it's so important we protect our environment. If everyone put one extra piece of plastic a week in the recycle bin, we could recycle 250 million more plastic items a year. Join me on Repak's Team Green and let's all play our part in recycling. Together, we can become environmental champions. Visit repak.ie to find out more.
Don't miss out on the most epic Saturday of sports ever. Saturday 6th of October, watch Leinster take on Munster, Man United beat Newcastle, and the showdown the world's been waiting for. Conor McGregor versus Khabib. All live and exclusive on Air Sport and free with Air Broadband. Switch today for just $39.99 a month. Go in store or visit air.ie. New customers only, $59.99 a month thereafter, subject to availability. User experience may vary. For full details and terms, see air.ie.
Time. Think about how you spend it. It could be downtime, a coffee in your favourite cafe, or family time, a feel-good movie in a state-of-the-art cinema, time with friends, dinner and drinks in a mouth-watering restaurant. What about autumn time? Time to add some layers to your wardrobe? At Liffey Valley, there's more than 80 stores, over 20 restaurants and cafes, and a 14-screen cinema. So whatever the occasion, the best days out begin at Liffey Valley. It's the little things that make the difference. See liffeyvalley.ie.
Every day I get up at 7 and I scramble to get 3 children out to school. So it's busy, but it's life. It's three children will keep you busy. Sometimes life throws you a curveball, you just have to work around it. I had a lump, and as soon as they looked at it, she said, that looks like breast cancer, and that was it. Well, we took out life insurance when we bought our first house, actually. And then at that time, we also took out the critical illness with Irish Life. It is like a security blanket just to know that there is something in your account at a time when we needed it most. You kind of cherish moments, being able to walk up a hill or bring the kids out for a walk. I'm just so happy that it was actually Irish Life that was on the journey with me.
Find out more about Irish Life Family Protection at irishlife.ie. We know Irish Life. We are Irish Life. Specified illness cover gives a one-off payment if you are diagnosed with an illness we cover. Customer received a gratuity. Irish Life Assurance PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Listen, you're as good as any player out there. Just focus on getting those numbers on the board. Keep your eye on the prize. And spin that flippin' wheel! You got that, Mammy?
Winning Streak is back, with over €9.5 million in cash prizes to be won instantly on the Winning Streak scratch card, or up to €500,000 on the New Look TV game show. Pick them up in-store and surprise yourself with a scratch card from the National Lottery. Play responsibly, play for fun.
On 106 to 108 FM and at newstalk.com. This is Newstalk.
Good afternoon from the news desk. I'm Fiona Ash. Security is being reviewed at Áras an Uachtaráin after President Michael D. Higgins was confronted by an intruder. It's after a woman gained access to the grounds as maintenance work was being carried out last Friday. The Irish Daily Mail reports she raised housing issues with the President. Gardaí have confirmed a review of security measures is being carried out and investigations into the incident are underway. As part of nationwide protests taking place today to highlight homelessness, People Before Profit have occupied Glebe House in Crumlin for the next 24 hours. The party has joined the Take Back the City group for a national day of action. Protesters set off from the Garden of Remembrance in the city and made their way down O'Connell Street. These people explained why they are taking part.
I don't see ordinary people being gentrified out of their own city, for big business, for vulture funds and what have you.
Hopefully just get people talking and get more collective action. I think the Occupy started a movement and I hope it continues.
It's me and it affects many people that I know. And it's going to affect my grandchildren and it's going to affect my daughter and the whole lot, let's say. And it's about time something was done about it.
Plans to remove a requirement for cancer warnings on alcohol labels from new legislation have been criticised. The Public Health or Alcohol Bill returns to the Dáil next week. Sinn Féin has set out at reports Minister Simon Harris is to amend the new law so companies would not have to have cancer warnings on their products. The party spokesperson on health, Louise O'Reilly, says the legislation should not be watered down.
Talk to anybody working in the area of addiction. Talk to people who have come through alcohol addiction. Talk to the families of those who have suffered because of alcohol addiction and consider who they're really helping if they're trying to water down this legislation.
Don't forget, for all the latest news updates, you can go to our website. That's newstalk.com.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. Our friendly staff will help you choose the perfect carpet at the new look Des Kelly Interiors.
Dry and cold in most areas overnight. Sunday will be dry in most areas with just a few scattered showers. A cool day despite a good deal of sunshine. Highest temperatures 10 to 13 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
All right, you're welcome back. So the main stories: Liverpool leading Southampton by 3-0. Manchester City 3-0 up away at Cardiff, and Manchester United 1-0 up at home against Wolves. They're back underway in the second half of the Premier League kickoffs. Kenny Cunningham is sticking with us in studio. You were meant to be leaving at 4 o'clock, but you're just having such a good time.
You just couldn't go.
Bit of overtime.
You're getting convinced to go to
We're trying to tempt him to Richmond Park.
Well.
Yeah. He's going to get a League of Ireland double header in if possible.
Oh, that is as hardcore as it comes.
Yeah. I'll definitely be somewhere this evening.
Pitch will be in great nick.
He's trying to figure out the bus logistics between. Does anyone out there know? Is there a bus between Richmond Park and Talca? Is there some way? Is there some?
I'll tell you what, right? So the off the ball racing show, the Nap delivered there in Gorn in the last race. So because we got involved in backing the Nap, I'll pay for a cab to bring you to.
Wow!
If you come with me and Dan for the first half in Richmond Park.
No, I have no problem with the I've spent enough time getting chauffeured around the place during my career. I'm more than happy to jump. I just need to know if there's a direct bus.
Someone has solved that problem. I mean, I think I actually just now want to know that we've actually there's no direct bus
across city.
There is. There's a lot of buses. From Coolock, there's one that goes off the south side. I've been on that one. So
the big questions that we need answered: is there a bus from Inchicore to Drumcondra?
From Richmond? From Richmond Park to Richmond Road.
No connections. Like I want one that brings you all the way. All the way.
Dan, you're moving up north side. You're going to embrace.
I need to get my head.
Give out his address there, Johnny, so people can go visit. Give out his address there so people can go visit. He probably hasn't given it to you just yet. No. So the other scores in the Premier League: Burnley 2, Bournemouth 0. Scoreless still between Palace and Newcastle. It's 1-1 between Leicester and Huddersfield. Brighton Spurs is the late game. Earlier, Fulham and Watford drew 1-1. In the Championship, scoreless between Villa and Sheffield Wednesday. Derby raced into a 3-1 lead against Brentford. No goals between Ipswich and Bolton. Leeds 2-0 down at home against Birmingham. It's scoreless between Middlesbrough and Swansea and between Forest and Rotherham. Reading 1-0 up against Hull. Sheffield United 2-0 up against Preston. Blackburn 3-0 up away against Stoke. And no goals between West Brom and Millwall. QPR Norwich is the late game there. Now we're watching Liverpool Southampton in studio. This is pretty remarkable from Liverpool at home recently, Kenny. Like, a lot of people still seem to have questions about them defensively. It's nearly 8 games now since they last conceded a goal at Anfield. February was the last time they last conceded a goal at home. They haven't been beaten at home since I think it's April of 2017. So it's very much back to being the fortress it once was. And when you think about the Liverpool defence, even back to 2017 and the last defeat, I think it was Crystal Palace, it was Mignolet in goal, Klein at right back, Lovren, Matip at centre back, Milner playing left back. It's a totally different back five.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. The reason why now Liverpool haven't got those weaknesses, they've strengthened in the right areas of the pitch where they need to. The squad now, for me, it's flawless. There's no weakness there. Not only in the starting 11 for me, we'd all pick our strongest 11, maybe one or two exceptions. But even in terms of the squad now, I struggle. People say, well, strength and depth compared to City. I don't see it. I don't see it. People say, well, if Firmino got injured, they haven't got a natural centre forward who comes in to replace him, young Solanke, young and inexperienced. But when I look at Liverpool, and this is a bit of this is typical of the modern game, I see Liverpool really playing with three centre forwards high up the pitch. So Firmino comes out of that team injured for a period of time. For me, Salah goes in and Mane can go in there. So they don't need to spend 40 million on top class centre forward to sit on the bench. They've got three on the pitch at the moment who they can rotate if need be. So
they're not outstanding at the back, Kenny. Like they still give up chances in good games, but they create so many chances that most of the time it doesn't really matter.
Well, I haven't seen too many this, haven't you? Yeah. And it's not just about the back four. It's about the protection of getting those midfield areas now. They've
Milner's having an outstanding season.
But even that, Fabinho hasn't even come into the team, and he's that defensively minded midfielder. That's why they brought him into the football club.
Well, Fabinho's an interesting case in that last season, Andy Robertson, everyone was wondering where was he when he started the season with Moreno for the first 6-7, and Klopp's message was just be patient. He's working hard in the training ground. There's no issue. And then he comes in and he's been probably the best left back in the league for the last year since he arrived. You do wonder with Fabinho whether there's something similar. He has a very definite role in mind for him that he's doing a lot of work with him on the training ground.
Well, in the system Liverpool play, the only position he can play is the base of the midfield three. That's the only position he can play. Henderson's versatile enough to play as an 8, Wijnaldum, all those players. I just wonder, we've seen a little bit of it today with Shaqiri coming into the team, and Wijnaldum looks as if he's playing more of in a pair with Henderson as a central midfield too. And I think that's interesting for Liverpool going forward, that they can just change the dynamic in midfield. Maybe when the bigger games come around in the Premiership and in Europe, they can just flip to a midfield too with the likes of Henderson and Fabinho and just lock down that central area of the pitch, which they haven't been able to do previously. They've always been one short in that central area of the pitch for me. But with the players they have now, Fabinho, Keita in particular, and the former Milne, we've mentioned them all. For me now, Liverpool can play their favourite formation of that midfield three, that V-shaped, or they can go to a midfield two and really lock down the centre of that pitch.
Bad news for Liverpool supporters, your season is about to fall apart.
Well, as we were talking there about strength and depth, and the one player that they could lose that could pose them problems, it probably is Virgil van Dijk, is the one.
He's just gone off injured.
He's just gone off. Now, it looks like he got a bang to the ribs or a bang to the chest. He's sort of, he was down, he hasn't sort of been stretchered off, so it might just be precautionary to a point when they're 3-0 up, to be fair. But that possibly is the one position where if they lost him for a period of time, that would be a concern, surely.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, he's the absolute top class player. Some of that, you're the best centre half in the world at the moment. So yeah, you're going to be a little bit weaker. But like I said, the maturity of Joe Gomez for me would give you some kind of consolation. And Lovren, I wouldn't be Lovren's biggest fan, but he's an experienced player. He's a well-travelled.
He could do a job
player.
for 2 or 3 games.
Of course he can do a job. Matip will do a job. But certainly when them two are fit and on the pitch, Gomez and Van Dijk, I don't see that. There's not that soft centre of the defence that there was previously.
There's been a goal at Old Trafford, Kenny. Let's hear about it. Darren Stanich.
1, Wolves won the equalising goal. A brilliant strike from João Moutinho, the Portuguese man, over 100 caps of course for his country. Good counter from Wolves. Pogba lost the ball, attack came down the right, the ball eventually came back to Moutinho, who fired it home. De Gea no chance. United 1, Wolves 1.
Well, we've been talking them up, and Wolves have delivered. João Moutinho.
Johnny called it here. Johnny called it.
He said they might maybe potentially.
They maybe.
Who knows?
Might give him a game.
This relegation fodder might give them a bit of a game.
I don't even want Kenny to come to the match anymore.
Like, who is this guy? Who is this nobody? João Moutinho arriving at Old Trafford and
what are they behind if they draw today? What are they behind Liverpool? That would be, they've dropped 8 points already. Is it?
That would be them on 8 points, which would leave them 10 points. Is it behind?
10, Liverpool they'd be 10 already? Behind.
Yeah. You get your old live score in running table there.
That's exactly. Well, that's sorry. Is that not the in running table I'm looking at?
I don't think so.
Oh no, disastrous.
Is there a very real possibility that Man United won't make the top 4 this season?
Oh, absolutely.
That's very feasible. Yeah.
No, my live score in running table has them 8 points behind Liverpool, as it stands. More to come though.
Yeah, because they've dropped two defeats, and that would be another 2 points as well. 6 in it. And
well added up there.
Wow.
Live maths on the radio coming your way every Saturday.
It's on fire today, lad.
Sometimes it might be right. Sometimes it might just be a little bit confused. So a few texts coming in. 53106. Liverpool have no alternatives in midfield though. They're all like for like, says Patrick in Dunleary.
That doesn't matter at all, because
is that not a good thing?
No, it's very, very simple. So you've Keita, Fabinho, you've Milner, you've Henderson, right? They have a fairly simple job to do, and I think Chan let them down in the sense that he wasn't dynamic enough, and he didn't move kind of fast enough. He wasn't a good athlete, right? So got rid of Chan, but their job is fairly simple. Get the ball to the front players, and basically just win the ball back and work hard and set up properly when you're in defensive situations. And there isn't much more to it than that, in my view, because they've so much talent going forward. When Liverpool break with the pace of Mane and the other two, like it's fairly simple how this team works. It's work rate and pace on the break.
But I disagree with that, to be honest with you. I think they have got different characteristics, those midfield players. I think Henderson can play as a sitter. He can go
obviously they do, Kenny, yeah. Like
Keita is an all-round midfielder. Keita can do everything. Keita can old style box to box, get around, make tackles, get tied to people, travel in possession of the ball, break beyond the ball and arrive into the box. We know Milner's and Ronaldo, so I actually think they have if people are thinking they haven't got like a Coutinho in there, well, Liverpool don't play with a 10. They don't play with that like creative element.
Is Shaqiri today sort of playing in that Coutinho role from last season?
Well, this is what I'm saying. At times he's floating into that central area, and Ronaldo looks as if he's playing as a pair with Henderson in there. So this is what I'm talking about. I don't think Liverpool could change to that formation last year, but this year because of the options which they have in those midfield areas, I think they can. I think if a massive game, say Manchester City came up, although they were successful playing with their 4-2-3 formation, you could see him maybe dropping in Henderson and Fabinho or Henderson and Keita into centre midfield and saying just don't go ahead of the ball, and maybe playing a Shaqiri just in behind a Firmino or something like that. So they have got that option available to them. But I think Liverpool now, one of the strengths is that central midfield area. Oxlade-Chamberlain's going to come back into the equation. Lallana can play in there as one of the midfield three as well, has got the ability to play. So they've got a huge amount of options there, and they're not one-dimensional. I disagree with the call. I don't think they are one-dimensional.
Yeah, and even looking at that attack there, you ended up with Shaqiri out on the right-hand side, Salah in the middle, Mane on the left, and Firmino was the player who dropped quite deep. So there's quite a bit of rotation obviously going on amongst
That's the beauty of Firmino on that team. When he does he's comfortable dropping into those deep midfield positions. That's the trigger. That's the trigger for Salah, invariably, and Mane to make those diagonal runs into the space and behind. That's a nightmare for a centre half. When your centre forward drops deep and you follow him in and out in your peripheral vision, you can already see that winger making that diagonal run into the space in behind you. So what you do is you put the brakes on. You don't follow your centre forward in there. You cover the space, and what happens then is centre forward's getting the ball in the half turn, getting turned. That's the type of good rotation that Liverpool have high up the pitch.
With that front three. There as well. Sorry, Kenny. Alisson got the ball in a position where he really didn't need to go long, and there was actually a pass on, and he actually just got rid of it. He was just like, "Yeah, I'm not having this." And I think that I actually think that may well have come from the top, because he could have just passed that short.
3-0 up. No point taking any risks.
Well, why not do the 3-0 up? It's better do the 3-0 up than 0-all.
Hey Johnny, next week it's a big week because the Ryder Cup kicks off. I know you're all over it. And you can stream all the action live with the Now TV Sky Sports Pass. With the Now TV Sky Sports Pass, you only pay for the days you want, and you can stream all 10 Sky Sports channels. We are going to be over in France next week. It's part of the script, I have to say it myself. And Joe will be at Le Golf National.
Joe going to the Ryder Cup, no?
I've never heard of a golf course in France. Obviously there is one.
Well, you'd hope so. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty disappointing when they get over there.
Beautiful golf course, just south of Versailles. The European team are staying in the same team the Irish team stayed in.
I'd have to go back to that 2016. Sort of, cafe place we were eating in.
Yeah, well, we are. We're staying.
We had a week in Versailles together, of course.
We did. Versailles Treaty. Did you go to the building and where it was all signed and all that?
We were in Versailles for 5 weeks, so anything there was to do in Versailles, we have done.
Historical interest.
Anyways, we're going to be there, and to celebrate, we're giving away a year-long Now TV Sky Sports Pass to be with a chance of winning. Just identify our Ryder Cup mystery voice, who brings a unique mindset into his major winning attempts.
When you try to go out and win a US Open, you will lose it quick.
Text your name and answer to 53106 for 30 cents. We'll announce a winner later on in the show. Off the Ball's Ryder Cup coverage is brought to you in association with Now TV. Only pay for the days you want and stream all 10 Sky Sports channels with the Now TV Sky Sports Pass. Let's go see what's happening at Selhurst Park. It's Palace against Newcastle. Andrew Cheal.
Palace 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle with the upper hand since the break. Shelby's curled free kick. Joselu threw himself at it, appealed for a penalty and was studiously ignored. Joselu with an acrobatic volley, neatly controlled, straight at the keeper though. Palace's Tompkins has joined Newcastle's Jedlin in the book for a late and nasty challenge on Jose Perez. Perez in a separate incident was spoken to with the referee for clear simulation. It's Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
Good news, Kenny. Take the 40 bus from Inchicore to Drumcondra and walk 10 minutes.
Oh,
40.
Solid advice.
Happy days.
Oh yeah, the 40. That goes up Thomas Street. That bus actually, the 40. It does.
Have you a Leap card, Kenny, or are you paying cash? Because they won't give you any change back, and now you can't even reclaim your change.
Oh, he's
got the Leap card. Good man.
the Leap card.
Stocked up.
Radio listeners don't realise he's actually brandishing it.
No effort at all into He's put no effort into his clobber at all today. He's wearing kind of dirty tracksuit bottoms, Nike hoodie.
What you wear, John.
It's how you wear it.
That's it.
Wow.
In my case.
Let's see what's going on at Turf Moor then. Burnley against Bournemouth. Adam Drury.
Burnley 2, Bournemouth 0. The Clarets have settled into this half the more comfortable of the two sides. They were close to going 3 goals up had Sam Vokes been able to steer a first-time shot inside the box and to the other side of Asmir Begovic's near post. The Cherries are struggling for ideas right now. Their best chance fell to Jefferson Lerma, whose speculative long-range strike over the bar summed up their attacking woes. At Turf Moor, it's Burnley 2,
Speaking of clobber, Paul Corrie, former of Shamrock Rovers, Sheffield Wednesday player, sometimes guest on this show, regular guest on your podcast.
He's a big fan of his clobber.
He's been in touch, was complimenting the guns, Johnny. The gun show is out.
Johnny being in the gym. Johnny being in the gym.
I actually have a...
What happened to you? You've got an almighty bruise on your right arm.
And when I finished doing a bit of work yesterday, I was cycling up Thomas Street actually, and
you get hit by the 40 bus, did you?
That's why he's forgotten what buses go up there.
A bus pulled into the left lane, and I went into the middle lane.
What a bus?
And I was going at a reasonable pace, and I was a little bit blinded when I passed the bus, and I came into the middle lane, and I saw that there was a car in front of me. He was going quite fast, but he braked quite suddenly, and I was nowhere near far enough back from him, and I smacked right into the back of the car.
Oof. And
so I was actually quite sore, but the first thing I thought of was like, I won a few bob the night before, and I'm going to have to pay the whole lot out to basically pay this lad because he has a scratch in his car. So I said to him,
what?
He rolled down the window, and I said,
the
first thing he said was, "Are you all right?" And I said, I'm grand, I'm really, really sorry. And he said, you're just going to run off now anyway, aren't you? You're just going to cycle off. And he said, no, absolutely not, pull over because it was my fault. And he goes, no. And he was all miffed, and he goes, why would I pull over? You're just going to cycle off. And he said, no, I insist you pull over. So I said, there's a bit of a scratch. And he goes, a bit of a scratch? I said, yeah, there's a little bit of a scratch. So he pulls over, and it was a 2018 hybrid, I think, one of those. I'm not really into cars, but definitely 2018. And there was a little minor scratch, and it kind of, you could kind of notice it. And he looked at it and he said to me, I'm not worried about that stuff, as long as you're all right. And I just thought, what a good deed for the day. And then as I was cycling off, I was like, I have a really good tip for a horse tonight, and I could have given it to him. The horse finished last. So I was like, thank God. Imagine if I gave him the tip for the horse. And he's like, not only did I let him off, he's cost me 100 knicker on this, like, hopeless 9-1 shot at Dundalk.
You see,
but it was a good
that
deed.
seems like a normal thing for you. I would say if I'm just driving around Thomas Street of a Friday evening going about my business, you crash into a cyclist who...
I crashed into him.
Yeah, but he's probably in a little bit of shock because automatically the blame tends to go on the motorist, and he's thinking, and then he just started randomly offering me
tips,
horse racing tips.
That might be somewhat unusual. Money, but do you follow the horses at all? But
there's a bloke sitting in a car now going, what the hell happened to me yesterday?
He's actually reversing violently and coming to get me, like. But in fairness to him, I thought it was such a good deed in our culture of the compo culture of today. I thought I won him round as well because he was initially quite belligerent, but then he turned into like a little bit of a soft kitten by the end of it.
You know, he's just deflected away from the guns. I don't know if you know that story. No relevance whatsoever.
Well, Dave McIntyre, you know, we're all looking up to him.
Well, those t-shirts are McIntyre-esque at this stage. They're getting tighter and tighter and tighter, Johnny.
Creatine induced that?
No. I'm playing a bit of Astro, and I'm just trying to, at the dying days of my mid-30s, I want to win the ball back a bit more because I'm a bit of a defensive midfielder type player. So if I'm a
Jurgen Klopp type of player.
I have a lot of free time. There's a gym like literally just under my gaff.
Kante type figure now.
So it's like, why not go? And you have a great sauna and pool and all that. But I actually, the aforementioned Corrie played me once, and he compared me to Lee Cattermole.
Not
a comparison you get thrown out often.
No. Let's see what's going on at Anfield then. Liverpool against Southampton. Shane Pennington.
It's Liverpool 3, Southampton 0, and Jurgen Klopp surprisingly making a half-time substitution for Liverpool. Shaqiri, the man to go off, to be replaced by James Milner, and despite the fact that he lit up the first half for Liverpool, it was tactical. Maybe Jurgen Klopp's thinking he'll be playing in midweek. But a couple of other substitutes, Van Dijk's gone off for injury, and Armstrong and Bednarek are on for Southampton. No real chances in this second half. It's Liverpool 3, Southampton 0.
Leicester against Huddersfield. Clive Edwards.
Score still level at the King Power on 1 each, and I should think Huddersfield will be happy for it to stay that way by the end of the 90 minutes, because Leicester are dominating possession and have created a few good chances. Jamie Vardy had a decent shot from an angle, saved by the keeper, and Iheanacho has come close. A very good quick move from Leicester City. Leicester playing with much more fluency in the second half. No, it's Depoitre with a chance for Huddersfield, and he's just put the ball wide. That was almost. It's Leicester 1, Huddersfield 1.
Let's see what the atmosphere is like at Old Trafford, where Manchester United have been pegged back by plucky old Wolves, eh? Darren Stanich.
Manchester United 1, Wolves 1. United started the second half well, but Wolves have got the equaliser. Came on 53 minutes, a brilliant finish from Moutinho just outside the area after a good attack down the right-hand side and layoff by Jimenez. And Wolves, you have to say, deserving it. They've created more opportunities in this game than United have. Jose Mourinho just making some changes. He's just brought Juan Mata into the field of play, and Anthony Martial. It's United 1, Wolves 1.
Ken Killarney's just been texting in. Mata on the bench again. His career's been a disappointment. Himself and David Silva were on a par a few years ago. Now there's no comparison.
And Mourinho hasn't helped him.
Is that fair? Juan Mata, has he been a disappointment?
I wouldn't go as far as that. I think he's had his moments in a Manchester United. Not sure the manager's really embraced him. He showed him the door at Chelsea, yeah. So I think he won him over to an extent, more so in terms of the lad's attitude. Seems to be exemplary in terms of professional kind of attitude and how he integrates in the dressing room and stuff like that. But I think the way Mourinho wants his teams to play, I don't think his physical attributes really have ever won over Mourinho.
United had won 3 in a row ahead of this game, all away from home. Back at Old Trafford, expected to dominate possession, to take this game to Wolves, and
United.
But that's what the home fans would be expecting.
No, I don't think so. I don't think any Man United fan expects them to dominate possession
against Wolves, like
any team of any note. In fact, I think if you ask anybody before this game today, Manchester United Wolves, in terms of generally how would the game pan out, would United dominate possession against this Wolves team? I'd imagine the majority
at Old Trafford.
Yeah, at Old Trafford, the majority of people would say, well, no, Wolves potentially a better footballing team because of the reasons that we've just said.
But that's pretty damning. But that's pretty damning for Mourinho, that Wolves are coming to Old Trafford and you're expecting them to be the better footballing team.
Yeah, but it depends. I don't think Mourinho's so worried about who is necessarily the best footballing team. He's more worried about the result at the end of the day, and he's prepared to sacrifice majority possession of the football to an extent, as long as he has a cutting edge high up the pitch, as long as he can soak up that type of pressure and obviously break swiftly and with effect. Then he's more than happy to play that type of game, as he has done during his career at times.
It felt that things have eased off over the last couple of weeks because of those wins, but also that maybe they were still just one game away from a crisis at any time, and that one bad defeat, and if they were to end up losing this game, that's suddenly the level of pressure that's going to come on Mourinho again. It's going to be pretty intense.
Yeah, no, I guess so. I mean, as much as Wolves have improved dramatically, like it still just sounds like it's a newly promoted club has come up, regardless of all the money that Wolves have, and they are like plucky. There's nothing plucky about Wolves. I mean, they've bought themselves to that position. But yeah, I sort of thought at that point as well. He's one big defeat away from this debate. I mean, the international break came. They got that win. Was it the Watford win? And it sort of calmed things down somewhat. But yeah, they are probably on that brink of the next sort of really seismic result that goes against them. It becomes a debate.
But I think this Wolves team is an exception in terms of teams that bounce up.
Absolutely. They're not a typical case.
Absolutely. We saw against Manchester City as well, the type of football that they played. Really put it up to Manchester City in that game, and we're on a par with them in terms of the quality, their ball retention and things like that. So shouldn't be overly surprised that they've come to Old Trafford with no inferiority complex and looking to play the football which has served them so well.
Also, what's happening elsewhere isn't going to help Jose Mourinho when Liverpool are about to make it 6 wins in a row at the start of the season, 3-0 up, and there's been another goal at the Cardiff City Stadium between Cardiff and Manchester City for Hamish Stewart.
And Manchester City have made it 4-0 here at the Cardiff City Stadium. Riyad Mahrez with the simplest of tap-ins. He's come on as a substitute here. Sergio Aguero, the man going off. And Mahrez was the man in the middle to finish off from a pass from Ilkay Gundogan after Raheem Sterling had put him into position to attack down the left. Man City completely dominant before, even more so now. They lead here by 4-0 at the Cardiff City Stadium.
It's getting better, Kenny. It's getting better. The 13 bus is better for Kenny, and if he gets on my bus, I'll let him on for free and give him a hug.
Is he the driver?
I've seen that tour there.
It's just a local eccentric who's just excellent.
He'll be hanging around the bus stop outside Richmond Park.
He wouldn't hang around Bordeaux, so I jumped off and got a bag of chips on that.
By the sounds of it, he might just do that.
Driver, yeah.
Is there not a Burdocks in Inchicore?
No. Inchicore is
Quite
actually
short,
extremely deprived in terms of...
I heard all about it a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and I know St. Pat's were trying to get the new stadium across the road, but there's no bank, there's no ATM apart from a Spar, there's nowhere to eat really. It's really deprived for an area that is going to be on the up, and Pat's is, I suppose they were really hoping that new ground would make it.
Yeah, it is strange. I brought a mate to the Bows game last week, and you go to Dalymount and there's options around and within the ground and stuff. And you go to Pat's, it's a bit more difficult in terms of selling it as an evening out, in terms of just the surrounding area.
Is that dead in the water, John?
Well, Fitchburg this week was voted as one of the coolest areas in all of Europe.
Yeah, no, that's like kind of stony about it. But I remember living in Inchicore, and it was great, because there was an influx of people from all parts of the world really come to Inchicore because it was kind of vaguely affordable. So you go into the internet cafe that'd be run by some Nigerian guy, but it would double up as a barber's. So you could be sending your email and getting a crew cut at the same time, and all for about €5.
And also betting on the 240 at...
Absolutely. And his little kid then would come up and just plug your computer out when you're in the middle of work and just start laughing. You'd be like, all right, it's Inchicore.
So latest scores in the Premier League still: Liverpool 3, Southampton 0, Manchester City 4-0 up away against Cardiff. It's 1-1 between Manchester United and Wolves. Leicester have just retaken the lead against Huddersfield. We'll bring you that goal in a moment. Burnley 2-0 up against Bournemouth, and still no goals between Palace and Newcastle. Quick break.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
Bobby's Late Breakfast.
It's legends galore this Sunday as I speak with Albert Hammond, the man behind more top 20 hits than you can mention in a promo. I'll meet the godmother of the baking world when I sit down with Mary Berry. We'll roll back the years to the sinking of the HMS Leinster, and for our younger listeners, we'll be joined by the writer and animator behind The Day Henry Met.
Bobby's Late Breakfast.
Join me this Sunday morning at 9 and let me ease you into your Sunday.
On News Talk. The winner takes it all. Money. Gold.
I've told you already, we can't change the song. We actually bought the lifetime rights.
The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €4.5 million. Great news for almost everyone. Play responsibly in-app, in-store or at lottery.ie.
This week at Centra, we have great offers in store, like Kellogg's Cornflakes 450 gram, buy one get one free, only €2. Centra Fresh Irish Beef Round Roast, now half price at $5.99 per kilo. And until Sunday, Faustino 7 Rioja Red and White was €10, now €8 each. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
He is the happy-go-lucky broadcaster with a tragic family past. In this week's Sunday Independent, Des Cahill reveals his emotional side, how he lost a fortune and what he really thinks of Marty Morrissey. And in his most intriguing interview, Sean Gallagher goes toe-to-toe with Niamh Horan. Plus, there's a free coffee for every reader at Costa. The Sunday Independent, the complete read.
This winter, escape to the beach in Agadir. Enjoy thrilling water sports and play golf on the cliff tops overlooking the ocean. Fly from Dublin Airport to Agadir with Air Arabia Morocco, starting from only €69 one way including taxes. Book until September 30th, 2018 and fly until March 29th, 2019. Reserve your ticket now at airarabia.com or call us on 01 513 3700. Air Arabia Morocco. Fly more. Terms and conditions apply.
Sell your car quickly at Merlin Car Auctions. And right now you can enter your car in for free, saving you €50. Yes, €50. There are 3 car auctions each week to choose from. Tuesday at 10:30 a.m, Wednesday at 7 p.m, and Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Sell your car quickly at Merlin Car Auctions, based at Junction 10 on the Naas Road, 15 minutes from the Red Cow. See merlin.ie for details.
You join us here at the Ryder Cup as Team Europe take on Team USA. Dear. Go on, get behind Europe with a Now TV Sky Sports Week Pass and stream the Ryder Cup for a one-off payment of just €15. Search Now TV. Content streamed via internet, full terms at nowtv.com.
Something huge is happening right now at the National Show Centre in Swords. The Harvey Norman Show Centre sale. It's so big, we couldn't fit it in a store. One of the biggest retail events of the year is back with up to 70% off. Massive discounts on big screen TVs, laptops, tablets, washing machines, fridge freezers, vacuums, sofas, beds, dining, mattresses, bed linen and more. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday at the National Show Centre in Swords. For more, see harveynorman.ie/events.
Go! Nailed it! And the online shopper of the month is...
You look very smug.
I've just changed my car insurance to AIG and saved €140.
I'm impressed. I thought premiums were going up.
A word from the wise, shop around. And speaking of shopping, that €140 will come in very handy. Thanks, AIG.
For a quote, visit aig.ie. Normal underwriting acceptance terms and conditions apply. This saving represents a real AIG customer and saving. She was paid a gratuity for her testimonial. AIG Europe Limited is authorised by the Prudential Regulation Authority of the United Kingdom and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Welcome to Somerton Lucan, a luxurious Castlethorne-built development of 3, 4 and 5 bedroom houses. Somerton, ideally located, close to a host of amenities including the nearby Lucan Village. Open this Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 4 at our show village on the Newcastle Road. Register now on somerton.ie or call Savills on 01618 1300 or Leahy on 01601 811. Somerton and Lucan, you can live here.
Bruce Betting, Sportsbook, Casino and now Live Casino. Download the Bruce Betting app to see why for the Premier League, Bruce Betting are giving you more. With price boosts, live in-play betting, cash out and ACCA insurance. Make Bruce Betting your Premier League bookmaker. Bruce Betting, in-store, online and now on your phone. Please gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster-than-ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
It is Marcus Alonso! What a strike from Marcus Alonso! Left-footed, straight into the top corner.
Onto his left foot, Yarmolenko trying to make space for the shot, which, he did exactly that! That's a fantastic goal! Curled it beyond the outstretched Jordan Pickford into the far corner of the net. His first goal was a team goal. That's a piece of individual brilliance.
The ball over the top now, an opportunity for Aubameyang inside the area, sends it across towards Lacazette, and Lacazette scores! And Arsenal lead.
Gets one into the penalty area. Oh, the header! It's in from Gylfi Sigurdsson, and it is a lifeline for Everton just before half-time.
But
Go on, tell us about the Big Lebowski, Johnny.
There's a 20th anniversary screening of the Big Lebowski, and anyone, if anyone is listening and is a fan of the Big Lebowski, I'm basically automatically a friend of that person because I know his or her style of humour to an extent. Because it's a very zany movie. But on the ad break here,
I would have always just thought everyone liked the Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski is like a typical Coen Brothers movie. Is a lot more.
But is it a mid-30s male movie? Is that
no,
really
I mean
what we're looking at?
it's basically for people who are in college and maybe are at home and kind of lounging about the house, relaxing. To euphemistically put it.
Those of us who did arts in college would.
Familiar with it.
Very, very familiar with the lifestyle and the movie.
But anyway, Kenny thought of this movie that he thought of was Big Lebowski. But then he was thinking of another movie which involved bowling, and then he mixed up Bill Murray, the actor, with Dan Murray, the former Cork City centre back. So and the update is that he is going to Richmond Park, but possibly via Leo Burdock's.
So I've never seen Kenny so he gets excited for Thunders. We know his love for Thunders. But he got seriously excited for
I'm
the
even
variations.
I'm sacrificing bunsons for the promise of fish bites and chips and
Fish
Bulldogs.
bites.
Fish bites. What is that all about?
Chicken nuggets, but with fish.
Yeah, but just a little, fish boys, because the large too big, isn't it? Especially when it's in your hand and you're walking down the road. You can't.
Oh, so you're looking for something
I can't deal
mobile.
with a large cod, you know what I mean? And the wooden plastic cutlery snaps within about 10 seconds,
Wow.
isn't it?
By the way,
then you have to stop.
So
you
your
have to
fish
stop
boys.
on the road, and it's messy. Like.
Nathan's admission that he actually goes to Leo Burdock's and orders chicken burgers is beyond scandalous. You can't go to a fish and chip shop.
When our building used to be down in Jervis Street, I used to go there on a Friday evening and get chips and a chicken burger.
Wednesday evening, Tuesday evening.
Get out! Get out!
That was
Dare you.
unwarranted.
That was totally uncalled
Chicken
for.
burger in Burdock's is unusual, though.
Why?
I don't know. It's
They obviously cook it for a reason. Where would you go then for a good chicken burger?
I haven't even seen it. I thought
I'm saying they do a brilliant chicken burger.
Munson probably do a nice chicken burger, do they?
there's crack bird and stuff as
No,
well. I
you're
wouldn't be a
joking.
big fan, but yeah.
Right, the goals you heard there were for building up to our commentary games tomorrow. So Stephen Kelly is going to make his off-the-ball commentary debut tomorrow. He's going to be at the Olympic Stadium for West Ham against Chelsea. That's at 1:30. Dave will be alongside him, and then myself and Gary Breen will be at the Emirates for Arsenal against Everton.
Rory O'Dea, this is actually a very good comment. He goes, we were obviously, I don't know where the show has gone today. I don't think we've discussed any football. Rory O'Dea, we're on about Inchicore. There's no less than 11 fast food options in Inchicore. That said, you'd want a few pints on board before venturing into most.
You can probably get a few points of most of them, to be honest.
You know the right person. There's been some goals at the King Power Stadium. It's Leicester against Huddersfield. Clive Edwards.
It's Leicester City 3, Huddersfield 1. Leicester running away with it now. In the 65th minute, Maddison gave Leicester the lead. A direct free kick 25 yards out, over the wall and wide of the keeper and into the net. Then just 10 minutes later, Jamie Vardy set on a counter-attack. His pace too much for the Huddersfield defence. He took the ball to the keeper, calmly chipped it over him. It's Leicester 3, Huddersfield 1.
So it looks as though Leicester are going to come from behind and win that game. Let's see if there's any change at Old Trafford. Manchester United against Wolves. Darren Stanich.
It's Manchester United 1, Wolves 1. United making the changes, Mata and Martial on, and both are trying to have an influence on the game. In terms of opportunities, Jesse Lingard went very close. His effort on 66 minutes was tipped over the bar by the keeper. Fellaini's had a header saved as well by the goalkeeper. At the other end, Neves, his had a shot comfortably saved by David De Gea. It's Manchester United 1, Wolves 1.
Wolves the only team to take points off Manchester City so far this season, so it looks as though they're also going to take some off Manchester United. Speaking of City, let's see what's going on against Cardiff. Watching that one at the Cardiff City Stadium, Hamish Stewart.
Man City leading here by 4-0. Riyad Mahrez, the substitute, add in the fourth from plumb in front after a pass from Ilkay Gundogan. A couple of interesting moves from the point of view of English football, with Sergio Aguero having gone off as Raheem Sterling, who's moved into the centre. Also Phil Foden, the teenager, he's come on with a quarter of the game to go. And John Stones has replaced Fernandinho, playing that role in front of the defence. So Man City in control, 4-0.
Johnny's buzzing. He just got a compliment online from the great Graham Hunter. Johnny and off the ball, from guns to car crashes to horse tips to claims culture. Great radio.
Yeah, this is the football in there.
No mention of what we're actually meant to be doing.
To be fair, there's not a lot happening today. Like Liverpool and Man City are both.
Liverpool are about to do something they've never done in the entire history of their club, Johnny.
Yeah, they're beating Southampton at home, and Liverpool are going to be basically steamrolling teams week in, week out that are in the bottom sort of 10 anyway. It's going to just be like this week in, week out. This game is a complete non-event, and you look at the top versus the bottom of the table.
It's where you get all these teams playing at 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
Yeah,
6 years, 6 years, Dan, since City, Liverpool, United all played.
Really?
Yeah, rare. Yeah. Couldn't have the stat, but it is unusual.
And League of Ireland on a Saturday evening then afterwards seems even more unusual.
Perfect day.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you weren't down at Turner's Cross last night, Johnny, for the big game against Dundalk, considering your well-known love for this Cork City side.
I think the Cork City side is a good team, but I just don't like the way they play football. And
What's wrong with the way they successfully won the league playing that style of football?
They won the league because they had Sean Maguire. Now they won the cup without Sean Maguire at the end, but like Cork City, after Sean Maguire left last season, were playing in the manner of a team that was going to be in a relegation scrap. Their form completely tailed off. And they started this season well. I tipped them to win the league. I thought they'd have enough about them with Sadlier coming in and McNamee and all that. But I watched them earlier in the season at home to Sligo, and I honestly couldn't believe how direct they were at home to Sligo, who'd be a struggling team. And their last 6 games in Europe, they haven't scored a single goal. They've been extremely negative in the way they've approached games at times. And to me, last night, the players collectively and individually were just not at it at all. It looked like there was a deep malaise there. Now all this kind of stuff about potential unrest in the camp is kind of hearsay, but they played last, like Dundalk are not superstars, but Dundalk never got out of second gear last night. Cork didn't lay a glove on them. They really didn't lay a glove on them. And
yeah, but Johnny, you come in here all the time talking about how the quality of the League of Ireland's improving, and Cork City are easily the second best team in the League of Ireland.
They're not. At the moment, Rovers would be better.
They're second in the table.
At the moment, Rovers
and they won the double last season.
At the moment, Shamrock Rovers were playing Cork in a neutral venue. Shamrock Rovers would be favourites. Right now, Shamrock Rovers, if they were playing Cork, if Bows are playing Cork in the Cup, it'll be interesting to see how that'll work out, because Cork at the moment are a bottom six side the way they're playing. They lost at home to Sligo, they drew at home to Pats, they lost to Bows, they lost to Dundalk. That's their last 4 games. They've 1 point. So at the moment, they're not a good side at the moment. Over the course of the season, they were good, but defensively, they've just become really jittery at the back as well. I just thought, Dan, last night, they were like a team that just had given up, and there was no heart about them at all.
I just think it's disappointing. I think the problem is
flat campaign.
Dundalk are going to push on and get better, I think, from here. And if Cork, by all accounts, are possibly facing some sort of budget cuts, just because naturally they're not going to have the Champions League money next year, and we are facing into a situation where Dundalk could dominate for some time. Now I know you can.
So this will be 4 and 5 years for Dundalk,
which is domination already, to be fair. But you're okay. There will always be, Dundalk will lose players, and that's always been the challenge. That's been the leveler. But they're probably in a financial position now where they're not going to regress. I think they're on a cycle now where they're sort of moving up again towards where they were maybe in 2016. And if Cork take a step back over the winter, then that's not great for the league. I mean, you want your top 2 meeting to be a showcase. You want it to be an event where you watch it and go, well, these are the 2 best teams in the country going at it. And last night you didn't have that.
Yeah, Shamrock Rovers are the second best team in Ireland at the moment, to my mind. Because they have, just looking at Cork this season, over the course of the season,
Shamrock Rovers are not a particularly good team.
No, Rovers have brought in some very good players since Burke left. They've won 8 and drawn 1 in 10.
The danger of Rovers, to use racing parlance, is that they could be a flat track bully. That they've struggled in a lot of games. They won a game. Really come to the crunch.
They won away to Dundalk. They beat Cork 3-0 at home. They were very good in Europe, even though they went out. And now the question, it's funny. Stephen Bradley's been under huge kind of scrutiny, I suppose, for most of certainly the second half of his reign. But he's been kind of he's been given a stay of execution now, because everyone is just talking about Cork and what's going on there. But at the moment, I could see Rovers challenging next season, or at least getting a lot closer to Dundalk. I think they're a good side, I really do.
Liverpool thought they'd gone 4-0 up through Mo Salah, but the offside flag has just gone up. There was an almighty goalmouth scramble twice. James Milner smashed the ball in. It cleared off the line by a Southampton player, and the rebound came to Salah, who must have been behind the goalkeeper, is the only thing I can think, that he was offside.
He was off the pitch for a while.
So there's the first shot. He's off the pitch when the shot is taken.
He's offside.
He's offside there. He's actually offside for the last touch. Because,
wouldn't have been given offside last season, John.
Yeah. It's in fairness to Salah, though, the goal will help him. I just do worry, though. I was saying this to Kenny.
He's only got 3 goals this season.
Yeah, and I think last season, the first 6 games, he got 3. But the World Cup, he played when he wasn't right as well. And what break has he had? And, been taken off. He kept the ball away very sloppy, obviously, against PSG. So
he's also been involved in a row with his own football association.
But this is the good thing. We're talking about it's a historic start to the season for Liverpool, how well they're playing, how consistent, no real weaknesses in the team, and yet their star man has probably been 6 out of 10 for most of the games. And you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to hit top form at some point during the season, and that's going to elevate Liverpool's performances even more so. So if I was a Liverpool supporter, I certainly wouldn't be too disheartened by Salah's form.
So it'll be 6 wins from 6, 14 goals scored, just 2 conceded for Liverpool in their first 6 games. 2 points clear of Manchester City, who are 4-0 up against Bournemouth. But they're going to be 8 clear of Manchester United, unless United can grab a very late winner against Wolves. It's still 1-1 in that game. What's your whole sense of what's going on at Manchester United, and how Mourinho can keep the revival we've seen of the last few weeks going, as to how he can actually turn them into title contenders? Have you seen enough to suggest that he has the players?
Yeah, I saw enough midweek. I like that team. That was the template for me going forward. He played 4-3-3. Matic at the base of the V in midfield. Fred and Pogba in those advanced positions, looking to get forward around the opposition penalty box. Pogba in particular, we saw how devastating he can be if he is disciplined enough to keep himself a bit higher up the pitch, which he can do with that formation. And then the front 3, I'd love to see Martial and Rashford operating off the flanks either side of Lukaku. That kind of front five to front three with certainly Pogba and Fred. Slight reservations, haven't seen enough of him yet. He's shown up not too bad, but 50 minutes a huge outlay. If he can find his feet and find some form in that area of the pitch, that Manchester United front five for me can be as potent as any other team in the league. Defensively, yeah, there's one or two small issues there, but again, the emergence of Luke Shaw right back, Dalot, huge performance midweek, 19 years of age, brilliant performance for me on his debut.
Is all this not too late already though? They're 8 points behind Liverpool.
It's too late. Too late for what?
For this season.
Too late for what though?
To win the league.
No, they won't win the league. But I'm talking about this is a...
Well, then if they don't win the league, Mourinho's not going to be there at the start of next season.
No, I don't think so. If they don't win the league this year, I don't think that means necessarily he's going to be out the door. But I think Manchester United want to see progress, and they want to see United approaching a point where they can certainly challenge. And they're looking at Manchester United team playing not a certain style of football, but a type of football where they feel as if, you know what, we're knocking on the door here, we're getting closer. And that team midweek, in terms of how we shaped up the team, the personnel, wasn't a million miles away from me.
I think you have more faith in their attacking unit than certainly I have. Relative to Liverpool, Man City, I think they're miles off. Firstly, because Lukaku isn't good enough to link play at speed like the likes of Firmino and Salah would. I don't see Man United. I don't see this awesome forward play. Maybe potentially it's there. I've never seen it with them. I just don't think.
It'd be a different type of play than what we see from Liverpool and Manchester City in terms of rotation, the type of combination play, the 1-2 touch. I don't see we'll see a huge amount of that potential. But that's not to say they can't be as effective, that front three. Yeah. And for Manchester, I look at that Manchester United team and I think top class centre half, absolute top class centre half. Liverpool have invested with Van Dijk, really transforms that Manchester United team. I don't think there's a huge amount of wrong apart from that world class goalkeeper, potentially two outstanding young fullbacks, and like I said, that kind of front five with Matic sat in behind, for me is not a million miles away. It really isn't.
Let's run through a couple of goals. Another one for Burnley at home against Bournemouth. Adam Drury.
Burnley 3, Bournemouth 0, and Ashley Barnes has surely put this game to bed right now. It was Johan Berg Gudmundsson who took a strike from a volley. It deflected and hit the post, and the rebound fell straight to Ashley Barnes, who tapped it home from close range. It's Burnley 3, Bournemouth 0.
Another goal in Cardiff against Manchester City. Hamish Stewart.
And Manchester City have made it 5-0 here at the Cardiff City Stadium. Riyad Mahrez, who came on as a substitute, adding his second. Neatly taken after Cardiff City had their chance to clear it when Raheem Sterling had attacked, and they managed to get the ball, but they didn't clear it far enough. It was Mahrez who latched onto it, and he was able to finish it to make it 5. Man City, total dominance, getting just what it deserves. Cardiff City 0, Manchester City 5.
Neil Warnock said during the week that there's 3 worse teams in the Premier League than Cardiff. Kenny, are there?
I don't think so. No.
Is there one?
No. I'd obviously fair for Cardiff. Probably Huddersfield are thrown there as well. I don't think there's an obvious one standout team after that, but no, I was a Cardiff City supporter. Not the fact Manchester City have been, but from what I've seen so far this season, I think they're in big trouble.
It's always difficult to predict the relegation fight early in the season because clubs invariably sack their manager around November, and we'll end the season with probably of the bottom 7, 5 of them will have a new manager, and some of them will make a direct impact. If Warnock was to go, say, end of October, early November, and they brought somebody else in, is there enough quality in that Cardiff side that a different manager could get more out of them?
Not from what I've seen, in all honesty. I couldn't look at that Cardiff team, so from what I've seen this season and say, there's a lot more in that group of players. You know, he's not tapping into we've spoken about this before in terms of tapping into the potential of the squad that you have, the type of style of play which Warnock encourages. He says he's kind of refined it this year, possibly so. When you see the likes of Harry Arton centre midfield, you're not going to play necessarily a totally back to front, physically imposing style of football with that type of player in central midfield. But it's across the defensive line, 2 centre halves in particular. So Obama's been left out today, but what I've watched of them this season, this isn't a team that can sit back and soak up pressure and keep clean sheets. They're not a possession-based team either, so it's a real worry.
You look at the teams around them, like Newcastle, West Ham, Fulham. They're easily going to pick up points quickly.
A fair share.
Cardiff, who are they going to beat? You know.
Yeah, they just don't look like the quality to stay in the Premier League. Dan, you said it's all kicking off in the Championship?
Yeah. Well, we spoke about Sheffield United Preston earlier. Sheffield United 2-0 up and cruising. Then Preston got it back to 2-2. Callum Robinson scoring and Daniel Johnson. But then Sheffield United, David McGoldrick, 3 minutes to go.
Get him back in the squad.
Well, I think he might have had a bit of a falling out, or last year he certainly...
why is he keeping it to himself?
Disagreement with
Now's the time.
Last year around the Moldova game. So he's moved to Sheffield United and he seems to have been fit for a prolonged period of games. So he scored also... Reading 3, Hull 0, but John O'Shea back in the team got sent off. 2 yellow cards. And Blackburn Stoke, we were talking about that. Blackburn went 3-0 up. Stoke got it back to 3-2. But it's,
David Myler playing?
David Myler was not involved, I don't think. I think Liam Kelly was involved. He was substituted. But no, Myler not involved in the squad today for Reading. So, yeah, and Leeds got a goal back, but they're 2-1 down at home to Birmingham, got into injury time. So I think there's 6 points between the top 10 teams in that division or something. So it's a wide open year, I think, in the Championship.
First win of the season for Burnley at home against Bournemouth, watching at Turf Moor. Adam Drury.
Burnley earned their first league win of the season after a superb 4-0 win against Bournemouth. Matty Vidra scored the first in the 39th minute after bundling the ball in from close range, and 2 minutes later Aaron Lennon doubled the scoreline as he slotted the ball into the bottom corner. Bournemouth struggled with creativity in the match and conceded a third 7 minutes from time as Ashley Barnes scored a close range rebound, and Barnes bagged his 5 minutes later to secure all 3 points for the Clarets. Full time at Turf Moor finished Burnley 4, Bournemouth 0.
Bit of a reality check for Bournemouth, who'd started the season so well, but Sean Dyche, we spoke before the games about how flat they were last week against Wolves, but his managerial ability to turn that around in a week at home against Bournemouth, who I say were full of confidence, just the mark of the man.
Yeah, and his players as well. He's got a reaction from his players. I think he trusts his players, to be honest. It seems to be a healthy respect between the manager and the dressing room, so I don't think that relationship would have been broken or fraught in any way off the back of the run they've been on. So yeah, just remaining calm, sticking true to your principles, trusting your players. And yeah, they certainly turned around today. That's a really impressive result.
Liverpool in the midst of a difficult 7-game run that some feel will maybe define their season. They've won all 3 that they've played so far, and it's now 6 wins from 6 at the top of the Premier League, watching their win over Southampton at Anfield. Shane Pennington.
Liverpool 3, Southampton 0. It's 7 consecutive wins now for Liverpool as Jurgen Klopp's men cruise to a comfortable victory over a poor Southampton side. Wesley Hope put through his own net to put the hosts in front before Joel Matip headed the second, and it was all over in the first half injury time when Shaqiri's free kick hit the bar and Salah tapped in the third. Southampton's only real chance saw Vestergaard head wide in the first period, but in truth they were only ever going to be second best here. Liverpool 3, Southampton 0.
Is this the year? Is this the season?
Well, it is. Simple as that, it is. They're
there. In that it's the best chance they will have had since.
Oh, undoubtedly. In fact, before the start of the season, if you had to ask me, Liverpool, Manchester City, obviously Liverpool are ready to challenge. The only reservation I had was that before the ball had been kicked was that central Liverpool defence. Potentially Lovren in there alongside Van Dijk. I felt Lovren would give up chances at key moments if he'd played enough games. Obviously Gomez coming in has solved that issue from what I can see. So from being in a point of situation prior to the season, I would have said, yeah, Manchester City. I'd lean towards Manchester City. At the moment, I've got to be honest with you, I'm leaning towards Liverpool. I really am, because I looked at Liverpool the other night against PSG and just forget about the qualities, the individual qualities they have. There was a kind of physicality about Liverpool, a kind of raw energy, power in terms of how they go about the business, in and out possession football. And as good as Manchester City are, and they are brilliant at times, physically, that was like they had about 6 players under 5'5" Manchester City on the pitch the other night. That was both Silvas, Gundogans, Sterling, Aguero. At times the City go on the pitch, as brilliant as they are, just that physical. I know it's only a small team. I think, does that really matter? But I think against Liverpool head-to-head, home and away this season, I think it will matter. That real energy, kind of power, physical power that Liverpool can bring to the equation as well. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is, without looking into a crystal ball, for me it's ever so slightly Liverpool at the moment.
Liverpool against Manchester City coming your way on off the ball 2 weeks from now. Crystal Palace against Newcastle was the game Kenny wanted to be at. Generally I would say you've dodged the bullet, but you would have actually loved this, I would say. Scoreless draw at Selhurst Park for Andrew Shield.
Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 0. Palace created enough chances to have won comfortably. MacArthur early on and Sacco late in the game both put headers wide when scoring looked easier. Milivojevic and Kouyaté both worked the keeper with shots that were decent but not dangerous, and there were other chances. Newcastle created just 2 opportunities. Lascelles way wide with a header, and Joselu an acrobatic volley straight at the keeper. It finished Palace 0, Newcastle 0.
Some of the best and most interesting games of football I've watched, I finished 0-0. So I don't buy into this 0-0.
Totally agree with you,
Hilarity
Kenny.
was never
And
it
involved
wasn't
in it, I'd say, as well.
It wasn't. Was that a compliment? Clean sheet.
Why did you alter your defensive posture? It's like,
What was your goal scoring record again? Like, what your goal scoring? Did you?
Where's this going from? Let's get back to your guns. Yeah.
Kenny either scored no goals or 1 goal throughout your entire career. I'm
Really?
not sure.
Would you bet on that? I know you're a betting man. Would you bet on that?
I'm pretty sure in your time at Wimbledon you scored either none or once.
Well, put your money on the table. And we'll
I
find out.
may
Put
be
your money on
wrong,
the table, that's
right?
what
And I'm
saying.
willing to be open to correction on this.
Look, he's tapping into his computer now. Look,
do you know this, Kenny? Have you played more Premier League games than anybody else without scoring a Premier League goal?
I think you scored for Talca Rovers here.
Kenny has played.
a fair chance.
I am fairly sure.
250 games, no goal.
This is the stat. I heard this stat before, and I've never fully verified it. That Kenny Cunningham has played more Premier League games as an outfield player than any other player without scoring a goal.
I think that came about a year ago. So I was getting texts off people. Tony Hibbert for Everton went about 200 to 300 games without scoring a goal, and when he did, this obviously instigated the debate. Is it a record? Clearly it wasn't. There was one ex-player who we're going to mention.
There was a bloke sitting on the 40 bus somewhere going.
The Wikipedia, though, it gives him as 136 appearances for Millwall, 1 goal. Do you remember that goal?
I do.
Yeah, but before that, in 1988 to 1989, he was at Talca Rovers, but it's a blank on the appearances and the
what
goals.
I'm going to say is that is actually incorrect, believe it or not. My career goal tally is actually higher than 1.
Okay.
I'm not going to expand on it.
What do you
Own goals.
Expand on it.
Own goals.
That stat is actually doing me a disservice.
You see, Johnny, you're missing the point, though.
There's a fair bit of room for expansion from 1, to be fair.
we did a piece at our roadshow at the RDS with Peter Schmeichel last year. So Kenny hasn't scored any Premier League goals, but he's been a part of some of the greatest Premier League goals of all time. David Beckham from the halfway line over Kenny's head. Paolo Di Canio's volley for West Ham over Kenny's head. Tony Yeboah over Kenny's head.
It must be said, I did forward this information.
He's a footballing Forrest Gump. He is voluntarily. He is the footballing version of Forrest Gump. Let's see what happened between Leicester and Huddersfield. Clive Edwards.
It's Leicester 3, Huddersfield 1. Leicester kept their heads when they went a goal down after 5 minutes to the visitors. Jurgensen got the goal for Huddersfield. But Leicester drew level after 18 minutes. An excellent goal finished off by Iheanacho, made for him by Vardy and Maddison. A superb counter-attack goal. Then in the second half, Leicester played much better football. Maddison got the goal that gave them the lead after 65 minutes, a direct free kick. In the 75th minute, Vardy finished it off 3-1.
So an important win for under pressure club. Well, so let's get the full time then from the Cardiff City Stadium from Hamish Stewart.
Cardiff City 0, Manchester City 5, and easy as you like in the end for Man City. They were held for half an hour, but then a 3-goal burst in 12 minutes settled this game. Sergio Aguero, in his 300th game in the week, he signed a contract extension to open the scoring. Bernardo Silva with a speculative header the second. Ilkay Gundogan with a much cleaner effort into the right-hand corner. Riyad Mahrez finishing off with the 4th and 5th. Easy for Man City, they won it 5-0.
Probably the story then of the day will be what happened at Old Trafford. Manchester United dropping points on the return home. They were taking on little old Wolves, promoted. Nobody ever expected anything. Watching this was Darren Stanich.
United 1, Wolves 1. Wolves spoiling Sir Alex Ferguson's Old Trafford return. J.O. Moutinho gave the Premier League new boys a deserved point. The visitors started well, but David Hayham was making 3 good saves before the hosts took the lead. Pogba's neatly off for Fred, who fired home his first for his new club. Wolves were never out of it. They got level on 53. A brilliant Moutinho finish, and it was a thrilling end to the game too. Both sides had chances to win it, but Nuno Santos' side take a point back to the Midlands. United 1, Wolves 1.
Yeah, so Manchester United now 8 points behind Liverpool at the top. Kenny, Johnny, Dan, thank you very much. Enjoy your trip to Inchicore.
Anytime,
Enjoy your
Nathan.
Trip to Talca Park.
Both of
and
them.
the little stop off on the way. Are you going to get
Talk
time
is
for
cheap.
Burdocks?
Talk is cheap.
What are you getting?
We'll see.
What are you getting in Burdocks?
It's got to be fish bites and chips.
I might get that. I'm really hungry now. But if you're around the Dublin 8 area, this will be a good game of football tonight. Why not head along? You might see the 3 of us eating fish and chips.
Well, Dan, you see, after all the laughter, Dan's thinking of getting the chicken burger.
I'm not getting a chicken burger. No,
Get the chicken burger.
No, I
They have
won't do
that lovely fluffy lettuce.
He just said off.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
He just said off air he fancies a bit of sushi.
He's changed. Lads, enjoy the game. That kicks off at 5:30. We'll bring you updates before we go off air between now and 6. And we'll run you down through all the full-time scores, and we'll go to around the grounds as well right after these.
Football on Off the Ball.
In association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app. Multiples made easy and personalised content on every sport. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
Join that conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30